Excelsior! Hey, hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. Once again, doing another Marvel featured tier list, talking about all the Stan Lee cameos. Yep, they're all here. Making sure I could hear. Alright, yeah. We're talking about Stan Lee doing every cameo he's did in every big motion picture and some extra stuff here on the sides. Yep, we're gonna finally talk about Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel, and all the funny pop-ups and appearances he's had over the decades of all the good and bad of Marvel entertainment. Making sure you guys can hear me. Alright, looks like you can hear me. Alright. Yep, I'm back with another Marvel tier list. Had a lot of fun doing these, and I know you guys want me to continue them while we still have enough of May left. Been doing a lot of Marvel May, and decide I want to end on a high note. The Spider-Man movies were fun, but now we're talking about the big dog, Stan the Man, the founder slash creator of the Marvel Universe. And we got all his major cameos, plus some extra appearances here. I will warn you, we don't have everything Stan Lee's ever appeared in his lifetime, but we have a lot of stuff that the mainstream crowd knows. Excelsior! Hey, John Smith, glad you can make it. So, we do have a lot of content to work with here. Got most of his MCU appearances, all his motion picture appearances, some animated series and video game appearances. I will warn you, these are all the cameos I know, so you might be missing one or two here or there. Not trying to dismiss those works, but I just have no familiarity with some of them, namely a lot of the early 90s Marvel stuff and some of his appearances like on The Trial of Hulk, where Hulk fought Thor. That was a really old show before my time. Didn't get the alert on my phone for the Spider-Man for some reason. Oh, that sucks, John Smith. You missed a really fun one. Wolf and I talked about all of the Spidey movies. Speaking of which, they are on here. We have the MCU, we have the Fox Marvel Universe, the Sonyverse is on here, some cartoon appearances, even from non-Marvel stuff are on here. Got a lot of Stan Lee appearances. So, for those of you who've been living under a rock for the last few decades, Stan Lee is the founder and creator of Marvel. The Marvel Comics and some of the Marvel Entertainment. This is the guy who founded the company, who created a lot of iconic superheroes we know and love. We know Stan has created Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, the Avengers. Pretty much most of Marvel was created by him and his friend Jack Kirby. Some characters Stan Lee did not have a hand in creating. I do know he did not create the Punisher or Kick-Ass, yet those are under the Marvel umbrella. Yeah, I caught the replay. Did you like it then, John Smith? I know it's really long and not as fun when it's not a live stream. But yeah, Wolf and I had fun doing that tier list. Stan Lee basically is the father of comic books, of Marvel namely. DC has had some run-ins with him, but this guy founded Marvel, created a lot of iconic names, his favorite being Spider-Man, of course. Spider-Man's practically the mascot of Marvel, because we all love the webhead. But Stan Lee loved Marvel so much and had fun with the fan base that he actually cameos in a lot of movies. It became like a small, guest spot to a full-blown tradition. Stan Lee would pop up in Marvel movies, Marvel cartoons, got some video games down here. He would basically appear in adaptations of his iconic characters. And this was a fun tribute and wink to the fans that, oh, the guy who made it all is popping up for a small cameo to possibly a big role in some of these, basically appearing in the adaptations of the things he created. And Stan Lee would go from making this kind of a fun thing he would sometimes do to a full-blown tradition where Stan Lee appeared in every Marvel movie ever made as long as he was around. And we got most of them, got all the big ones, all the ones mainstream audiences should know, and I did add some extra here and there. But yeah, we're going to be judging all of Stan Lee's appearances. So let me go over the rules if this is your first tier list ever. I'll be talking about, discussing, praising, possibly critiquing some of Stan Lee's appearances, both big and small, across Marvel Entertainment, on this tier list from top best to bottom worst. Now we do have some fun categories again. Basically, All of them are gonna rank on here from which is good, which is really good, which is bad, which is lame. I'll be judging them all, giving them their own unique categories to sort them all out. Up top, we have Excelsior. These ones are the great ones, the golden ones, the greatest Stan Lee cameos ever. They were cool, they were funny, they were charming. They did Stan Lee total justice. They are S tier. These are Excelsior. Underneath that, we have Nuff Said. These ones are A's, A minuses, 8 or 9 out of 10s. These ones are pretty good. Not perfect. They're definitely dumb fun cameos. I've seen a bit better, but I'd definitely say they did a good job. Some people might laugh at them, some people might have their fun. I think they're fairly decent. They're the good ones, but not the great ones. Going on, Nuff Said. Right smack in the middle, we have Did It Work? This is a quote from the Thor movie, but these ones, basic, they're alright, they're Silver Skulls. Definitely a decent cameo, could have been a lot better, could have been way funnier, or possibly very short screen time. Like Stan Lee sometimes appears for whole minutes, sometimes appears for a handful of seconds, kind of a blink and you miss it cameo. These ones, they're average, they're alright, they're fine, they're adequate. They were a cute cameo, but nothing outstanding like the higher up ones. Underneath that, we have Tony Stank. These ones are plain bad, they're lame, they're whatever, they're forgettable cameos. Honestly, kind of feels like they didn't really disgrace Stan Lee, but I didn't really think highly of them. They're just plain lame. He was there, he had his joke. Could have been funnier, could have been cooler. Basically a cameo that needed a bit of improvement, but it's a stank cameo. And at rock bottom, sorry, mispronounced and at rock bottom we have F tier. These are worthless of his time, the failures, worst cameos ever. And we might not see too many down here, but basically it wasn't a good cameo. You might easily miss this cameo, very short screen time, a dud joke, not that funny, not that memorable, not that interesting, or you could barely tell Stan Lee was even there. They are worthless of his time. They are F tier at rock bottom bad. And yeah, that's pretty much all the categories. Yeah, gave him his own catchphrases this time for a fun one. Got most of his cameos on here. We got at least 50 plus cameos to work with, but I think this tier list should be mercifully short because it's basically just a few pop-ups and appearances. Stan Lee does have some main character roles, but not in everything. I will also warn you, Stan Lee's Mighty Seven is not on here. I've not seen that movie. I remember seeing it once, but I did not get a refresher rewatch. Sorry fans, but Stan Lee's Mighty Seven did not make the cut on here. I'd have to watch that one day, but I heard it was pretty good. Anyways, that one doesn't count because Stan Lee's an actual main character and it's not his cameo. Did you watch the first movie he was in an ambulance? Yeah. Did you watch the latest Stan Lee documentary? No, I have not seen it. Hey, did you watch the new regular show season? Yeah, it's still ongoing. They have new episodes coming out. I know you're talking about the Lost Tapes. Wolf and I are watching that, but we gotta do the remainder of the main seasons first. We're currently going to do season 6 soon. Just need to watch some we haven't seen in a long while. But yeah, we did see the Lost Tapes. It is out. It's currently on Cartoon Network. They're getting more episodes, but they're on one of their hiatuses. Didn't you? Alright, you caught the replay. Alright. Sometimes he speaks, sometimes he doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Stan Lee gets some lines here and there, and some are just really a very small appearance, or like he's in a background shot, or he does something on screen without saying a word. Basically, some voiceless cameos. Yeah, some of the voiceless cameos might be down a bit lower. That's not just disrespect Stan, but just a very underwhelming cameo. Hi, Kat, how are you? Hey, Bat Kid, you made it for this one. Hi, Kat. Hey, Akira. Yep, we're talking Stan Lee. Stan Lee cameos! Yeah, I got them all here. Even the 2000s Fox movies are on here. Didn't Stan Lee appear in Princess Diaries too? Yes, that cameo is on here. I added that one. Yeah, Stan Lee's on the Princess Diaries 2, the sequel, not the first one. I didn't think they should have brought back Pops. It's less than his death. What did I miss? Not too much Bat Kid, just laying down the rules, telling who Stan Lee is. This guy created Marvel, and he appears in a lot of Marvel, basically as a tribute to him, because this guy created a magnificent universe. Marvel is awesome, Marvel is fun. At least it used to be. Then when Stan Lee died, he took the good quality with him. But Stan Lee has appeared in a lot of movies, a lot of shows. I added at least 2 video games on here. Added all the Stan Lee cameos I know, at least the ones I'm familiar with, so might be missing some. His Netflix cameos are not on here because I haven't seen those shows in forever. Never actually seen Luke Cage or Iron Fist all the way through. I did hear he was in Jessica Jones and Punisher once, but I don't remember them. Basically got all his big movie cameos and some fun extra ones on here, and we're gonna be going over all of them. Would you ever rank or review every Narnia adaptation, not only the Disney ones? Okay, well I have to see the non-Disney ones, because those are the only ones I'm familiar with. I do like Narnia. I liked the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was one of my favorite stories. Prince Caspian was underrated, and I've never seen Voyage of the Dawn Treader in years. I remember seeing it once, but I don't remember a whole lot of it. Then it got canceled, and I heard there were some animated ones. Is the ambulance on here? I don't think so. We'll have to go over them. The Iron Man movies had that weird gimmick of him being mistaken for other celebrities. Yeah, he did. I don't think Iron Man 3 did that, though. Didn't miss too much, Bat-Kid. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. God rest his soul. Yeah, Stan Lee's passed away, so thankfully we don't have to do another one of these for future cameos. But got a pretty good haul on here. And by the way, Kat, I wanted to say that you could I hear the me English dub lyrics for the Dark Side episode, The False Prophets? Okay, I'd have to add it first. Would you ever rank I read that one. Well, if you factor in his Guardians 2 cameo and some lore from if the show, you can connect all his cameos regardless. Yeah, Stan Lee's been the same guy in the MCU. He will be creating comics in the Has-Been Hotel now. Rest in peace. He should be in the Heaven Hotel. I think Defenders was his only in-person cameo on Netflix. The others, he was on a poster or something. Yeah, those ones are lame. Got very minimal picture Stan Lee cameos on here. We have 1 or 2, but I'm not going to be counting a whole lot of them. So, sorry Deadpool 2 fans, we are not counting his memorial graffiti art. It's a nice tribute, of course it is. I do like it, but it's not Stan Lee technically being there. No, Stan Lee has to actually be there. He has to be involved. He has to have maybe a line or 2. He has to appear, has to do at least minimal acting. Stan Lee has to actually be present for this cameo or did something to appear in this cameo. Stan Lee does have to have an active part for me to count it on this tier list. I'm doing a project on Narnia's author, C.S. Lewis. Okay, cool, Bat-Kid. We haven't asked in a while. How's the Scooby-Doo list coming along? Very slow. I've been editing videos just in case because I can get those out faster. And yes, I looked it up. Does it fit since it fits the episode with leaving the real world? Okay, so yeah, got all the Stan Lee cameos on here, the big, the small, the animated. Gonna be judging them all, so thank you guys for showing up. Let's finally kick this off with Stan Lee's first cameo. Trying to remember which one his first was. I believe he first appeared in the 2000s X-Men. That's the earliest one I remember. Alright, here he is. Stan Lee in X-Men the 2000s movie, and this one's going on. Did it work? Yeah, this one's okay. So, for context, Senator Kelly just escaped from Magneto's villain base and he's been horribly mutated. He ends up washing up on the beach and the whole public sees him. He reassembles his body. He goes from a liquid blob into a physical human being again. And a whole crowd of beachgoers are just staring at him in awe and shock. And among the crowd is Stan Lee. Stan Lee standing in line for a hot dog and he sees Senator Kelly walking up past the crowd. Senator Kelly sees the news where they're talking about the big debate on passing the mutant registration bill on Ellis Island, and Stan Lee is basically there, and you do see him. I will give credit, you do see him here, but he doesn't really say or do anything. Stan Lee's just staring in bewilderment at this weird mutant who's shown up at the beach, and it's fine. It's fine. Honestly, I think some people might miss this cameo because Stan Lee is standing among a huge crowd, but it's a very cute moment seeing Stan Lee just appearing in the X-Men movie. Yikes. Oh yeah, Spider Noir is now on Amazon Prime. I heard some people thought it was okay. Not really sure if I want to see it, though. Alright, making sure you guys can hear me. And yes, I looked it up. It does fit since it fits the episode, leaving the real world. May need to fix that grammar, Kira. Yeah, I saw Spider Noir is out. In the ambulance, he plays a comic book artist director who was witness of a kidnapping. Okay, I don't think that one's on here then. Yeah, it was the next big Marvel movie after Blade. Blade was awesome, and he shockingly didn't cameo in any of those. I heard Stan Lee did film a cameo for Blade, but it ended up deleted. They did not use his cameo here. Stan Lee was supposed to be a beat cop, and he's checking out a corpse that was mauled by vampires. Apparently, they did film this, but they ended up cutting it from the rest of the movie. I guess because they wanted Blade to be taken seriously, but it was a huge missed opportunity. Yeah, we got his first cameo in X-Men, and honestly, I think it's fine. Basically, Stan Lee just reacting. He's standing among the crowd, and you're supposed to see him like a Where's Waldo picture. Well, Stan Lee's first role is the trial of the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, that was also one of his movie appearances. He's like in the jury judging David Banner. Yeah, Hulk goes to trial and he fights Thor in that movie. Do not have that on here because I don't think there's anyone who remembers that special when it was out. Too bad that Stan would never cameo in that Woody Harrelson rated R Carnage movie. Woody Harrelson. That would never happen. Technically, he did cameo, but we'll get to that soon. Blasphemy! Sorry, John Smith. Okay, this cameo I think is fine. It's cute. Stan Lee's there. He appears, and you're supposed to see him standing among the crowd. I wish they kind of did this a bit better, but yeah, I think it's fine. Going on to B tier. It's on Did It Work? Alright. Next cameo, I believe, yeah, here he is, in Spider-Man 1. This one is also a very quick blink and you miss it cameo, but Spider-Man 1, Stan Lee going on to Nuff Said. This one will be easily outclassed by some later entries on here, but I thought this one was a bit better. When the Green Goblin attacks the parade, Stan Lee is once again standing amongst the crowd, and Stan Lee actually saves a little girl from being hit by debris. There's a huge fight going on. Spider-Man fights the Green Goblin for the first time. Citizens are panicking, and we see Stan Lee's in the crowd. Stan Lee gets a reaction shot, and he pulls a little girl out of the way from debris falling off this building Green Goblin's attacking. Green Goblin's actually targeting Mary Jane, about to kill her. Stan Lee pulls a little girl away and says, "Look out!" And that's kind of the last we see of him. Yeah, this one a little better because they actually show you a close-up of Stan Lee. He's not standing amongst the crowd, but yeah, this one's kind of fun. I do think it will be outclassed by his later appearances in the sequels, but seeing Stan Lee actually being heroic in an attack, this is definitely a fun one. Going on to A tier. By the way, Kat, I did see Miraculous Ladybug's new episodes, Dirtifiers, where we see young Tomoa use the Peacock Miraculous, and she too wears a clothes feel like Mystery Incorporated than Miraculous. Okay. Did you know Stan Lee was the Major in Superhero Squad? The Mayor. Yeah, he's on here, actually. Got the Mayor on here because a lot of my fans who watch these Marvel tier lists want me to talk about Superhero Squad. I've not watched that show in like eons, but I will add him just for you guys. And Alia has a new baby sister? Like I thought it was the focus on Kagami. Need to check that grammar, Kira. Okay, that's kind of shocking. Stan Lee's best role, really like him in Spider-Man. Well, I think he's fine. Yeah, I think I saw in an interview with him once where he said that that was what he really liked about it, doing something heroic. Yeah, Stan Lee liked being actually useful in his cameos. He actually saves like a little girl here, so that wins him a point above the X-Men one. Yeah, this one's once again a quick cameo, but much better than the 2000s X-Men one. Going on, Nuff Said. Alright, which came next? We're still in like early 2000s Marvel. I believe Daredevil came next. Yeah, here he is. Alright, let's talk about Daredevil. Back in Ben Affleck's Daredevil, one of the worst Marvel movies I've ever seen. So, Matt Murdock just gained his superpowers. He's still a little boy. It's a flashback showing how he became the badass blind superhero Daredevil. And while Matt Murdock is understanding his powers, he saves Stan Lee. Stan Lee is busy reading a newspaper, walking across the street, and Matt Murdock uses his cane to stop him, and he helps Stan Lee avoid getting hit by a bus. And we see him bring the paper down, revealing it's Stan Lee. This one's definitely funny. I'm gonna put it onto Nuff Said also. Yeah, I am not at all a fan of the Daredevil movie. You should see my thoughts on the last tier list, but Stan Lee's cameo is definitely a funny one here. It is a highlight. It's just so funny seeing one of his superheroes still as a kid helps save Stan Lee, helps him avoid being hit by a bus Final Destination style, and we see, oh look, it's the creator of Marvel. Yeah, this one's definitely a funny one. I'm gonna put it onto A tier. It wasn't as bad as the Elektra movie. Yeah, I agree, but they're both awful. Just because one is a less smelly turd doesn't make it not a turd. I did wish that Venom was in Superhero Squad. The only thing he did appear in is the video game. Oh, that does suck. Like I say, like Stan Lee does it better than Thomas Astruck. Well, yeah, of course he does. Like the 2003 Hulk cameo. Okay, we'll do that one next. I forgot how early that one was. Okay, Stan Lee would also appear in Eric Bana's Hulk. This is the Ang Lee movie, and this one actually is pretty fun too. I'm gonna put this one higher up than the Spider-Man one, honestly, because it's a double cameo. During Eric Bana's Hulk movie, we see Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno, the original live-action Hulk actor, are both security guards working at this government facility. We see them crossing paths with one of the main characters, and they're talking about beefing up security, and we see the security guards are Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno. For those of you who don't know or didn't grow up with this show, Lou Ferrigno played the Incredible Hulk in his live-action 60s show, and basically it's a double cameo. It's funny because we see the old Hulk and we see Stan Lee together basically talking about security, and they pass by a main character. This one I actually do like. It was one of the fun highlights of that otherwise boring, drab, lackluster movie. Seeing Stan Lee and one of the original superhero actors actually together just hanging out and chilling, that's definitely fun. Like the 2003 Hulk cameo, yeah, that was definitely a fun one. Yeah, I'll put this one onto A tier. Yeah, it will be outclassed because we got a lot of good cameos here, but this one I thought was fun because we get a 2-for-1 cameo, basically. Going on, Nuff Said. Alright, then next, he didn't appear in X-Men 2. I know he was in X-Men The Last Stand and Spider-Man 2. These are the next ones. Trying to find it on here. I know I have the titles here. Oh, okay, here we go. Spider-Man 2, yes, Stan Lee's like right here. This is when Doc Ock is attacking and robbing the bank and Spider-Man shows up. Once again, they get into a fight scene downtown and Stan Lee once again saves another girl from getting hit by debris. And this one goes by much faster than the first one. You might actually miss Stan Lee here, so it's not going on to S tier, but I will put it onto A tier also. And yeah, it is better than the first one. Basically, Stan Lee is standing in a crowd gawking at Doc Ock, and he pulls a woman away from getting hit by debris that's falling from the building they're fighting on. Yes, they did it twice. Sam Raimi did this cameo twice. Like, and I believe, like, Stan Lee also gets to talk. He says, look out, and he pulls a little girl from getting hit by, like, a falling statue. Definitely another fun cameo, and we get to see Stan Lee being heroic in a Spider-Man movie. I always wanted Stan Lee to make a major appearance in his films. I do too, Anime Night. Glad you can make it. I would recommend, if you want to see that, Stan Lee's Mighty Seven was one of the first Marvel movies where Stan Lee himself plays a main character. It was like an old movie that appeared on the Hub Network. They tried to make the Mighty Seven their own superhero spin-off. It tragically did not catch on, and Discovery Family buying them out only solidified its death. You might be able to find it on YouTube, so I recommend it if you want to see Stan Lee with a huge role. Stan Lee's Mighty Seven. Like Spider-Man 2, yeah, it was a pretty good movie. I got to see this movie for free because a new movie theater opened when it came out. Oh, lucky you, John Smith, lucky you. Okay, so yeah, once again, it's kind of a retread of Stan Lee's first cameo, but here you get to see him and it goes by much faster. Honestly, I think it's an improvement over his first cameo. This one going on to Nuff Said. Then came X-Men 3, The Last Stand. This one's another quick cameo. This one I think is fine. I'm gonna put it onto Did It Work? So we see in a flashback how Professor X and Magneto recruited Jean Grey. Jean Grey is a telekinetic superhero, and we see her when she was a child being recruited for the X-Men. The X-Men want to take her and teach her how to use her powers to control her abilities, and she shows off her telekinetic prowess by levitating a bunch of stuff in her neighborhood. And we see Stan Lee. Stan Lee's like an old guy watering his garden, and if you can't see, the water in his hose starts flying upward, and he's like gawking at it like, whoa, how did that happen? That's basically his very small cameo. It's definitely funny, I will give it that. Not one of his best cameos, and I can't see it making on anyone's top 10 list, but it's definitely a cute moment. Stan Lee's just reacting to the weird mutant supernatural stuff happening. Definitely a fine cameo. Going on, did it work? That film was a retcon in the new film. Yeah, I heard. If you're talking about X-Men, yeah, Dark Phoenix completely retconned this. They tried to expand upon the lore of X-Men, and honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I will defend X-Men 3: The Last Stand is actually a pretty fun movie. Flawed, yes, but the worst thing ever. Definitely not anymore, especially after the years of bad Marvel movies we've been getting. I would gladly rewatch X-Men 3 over the Eternals or the Marvels. Agree, Batkid Shinobi. Stan Lee cameos is better than Thomas Asterix cameos. Yep. The Mighty Seven? What's that? That was Stan Lee's new spin-off superheroes. Stan Lee created like these meta superheroes that come in our real world, and Stan Lee teams up with the Mighty Seven and mentors them to be better heroes. Basically, it's like this whole new universe, and Stan Lee is basically the highlight of the movie. He's playing a wise mentor, telling them what makes a hero and how he was inspired to create the Marvel Universe. It was an original animated movie on the Hub Network. It might be free on YouTube. I'm not sure. Copyright might have taken it down, but Stan Lee basically does his own Justice League with new superheroes, and they got like a bunch of celebrities to play the superheroes. Like, fun fact, Marvel Comics show Storm's teleports to the world of Jujutsu Kaisen and Storm Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Alright, sorry. Agree, Batkid, agree. That film was, read that one. Like, isn't Stan Lee the mailman in Fantastic Four? That's right, he is on here. What is a retcon? I mean, I've heard about that word. It's retcon. I think somebody misspelled it. Retcon is basically going back and altering something. Like, oh, it was established that this happened, except a writer might decide to go back and alter it, like, oh, well, actually, there was a different motive, reason, or a sequence of events that happened in the past. Like, it's usually done for a big twist, but when it's blatantly noticeable that it breaks continuity, it's called a retcon. They re-altered the canon. That's kind of what the meaning means. Isn't Stan Lee in superhero kindergarten? I wouldn't know about that. Bless the Miss Marvel actress. She's giving that role her all. Put in something good soon. Oh, you're talking about Kamala Khan? Yeah, I've got nothing against the actress. I just don't like the character, because Miss Marvel is just so annoying. I'm sorry, but she is. Again, nothing against the actress. I got nothing against her. I hope she gets more work in the future, because she's good at acting, but the character herself is just not appealing. Like with Arnold from Terminator as the teacher. Hey, are you Tony Stank? Hey, just some random guy who comments. Glad he can make it. For example, Days of Future Past retcon things from several X-Men movies. Yeah, retcon, here's an example, Anime Night. A character was dead, but then they go back and bring this character back to life. That is like X-Men's Days of Future Past. They made the new timeline. Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Professor X all died in the original movie timeline, except now we went back and prevented that from happening. Now these characters are alive. They were dead, but now they're back to life, and it's a whole new timeline. That is a retcon. Alright, caught up. Alright, so, yeah, where was I? Yeah, X-Men 3: The Last Stand. This cameo, definitely cute, very charming. Seeing Stan Lee just reacting to the weirdness of the Marvel Universe is fun. A bit basic, but I'll give it a did it work in mid-tier. Alright, Kira brought up he did cameo in the Fantastic Four. Just need to find that movie. I know, got all the titles here. Ah, here it is. Fantastic Four, the original Tim Story duology. Stan Lee appears as the mailman, giving the mail to Mr. Reed Richards, and this one finally got one going on to S tier. This one's Excelsior. Yeah, I do like his cameos here. I don't care what anyone says, the Fantastic Four movies have their flaws, but they are dumb fun. They are amusing, they're enjoyable. The Fantastic Four have great chemistry together, a lot of wacky superhero antics, and one of the, or I should say, two of the best Stan Lee cameos ever. This one, Stan Lee appears as the mailman, giving the Fantastic Four their mail, and yeah, it's a moment where they hold on it, showing like, oh look, it's Stan Lee. Hey, Mr. Richards, got a big haul for you. Oh, thanks, mailman. It's pretty funny. Stan Lee also cameoed in non-Marvel movies. Mallrats. Yeah, he was in that. Unfortunately, I did not see it, so it's not on this tier list. Agree, MCU Kamala Khan have purple constructs, and in the comics where she has those disgusting giant fists. Yeah, I know she has elastic powers, like why MCU ruin it. The MCU has been ruining a lot of things, okay? Honestly, I don't like Kamala Khan's powers either. I mean, I have to ask, ladies, do you want the power to make your hands giant, hideous fists? No woman ever wants that power. His Captain Marvel cameo references Mallrats. Yeah, he's like reading the script on there. Yeah, it's right here. Okay, so we're still on the Fox universe. This one, I like it. It's pretty fun. We actually get to see Stan Lee for more than 2 seconds this time, and seeing him banter with Reed Richards, definitely really cute and adorable. Going on to our first S tier. Speaking of which, while we're on the Fantastic Four, this one is one of my top 10 favorite cameos. Stan Lee shows up to Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman's wedding, and he gets kicked out because nobody believes he's Stan Lee. Yeah, this one, high S tier. I love this cameo. In Fantastic Four 2, the Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic are getting married, and Stan Lee shows up to the wedding, and he gets kicked out because nobody believes he's actually Stan Lee. He like shows up and the bouncer asks him, sorry sir, it's a private party, but I'm on the list. Name, Stan Lee. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, really, I'm Stan Lee. Get out of here. It's really funny. I love this cameo. Yeah, Stan Lee shows up to the superhero wedding and gets kicked out because his name's not on the list and nobody believes he's the real Stan Lee. That is hilarious. I think it is like one of the top 10 funniest cameos he's ever made. Going on to high S tier. If Carnage would have his own movie and if Stan Lee was still alive, what role would he have? I think it would be funny if Stan Lee was actually Cletus Cassidy's therapist. That would be a funny cameo. Like, see him giving therapy to Cletus Cassidy and says, you know, guy, you are pretty messed up. The Fantastic Four movies had an underrated, loosely connected time show. Talking about Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes. Yeah, I have heard very good things about that show. I remember watching it, really loved the She-Hulk episode, but I never seen it, like, all the way through. Yeah, I heard World's Greatest Heroes, it does exist. Pretty popular Fantastic Four show. I would recommend it because the animation alone really carries that series. It looks cool. Like, really anime-style Marvel. Also, Kat, now that there's a Ben 10 fan film coming soon called Ben 10 Born Again, as if it comes out soon, will you review it? Since Ben 10 feels grief for Grandpa Max's death and acts like a Spider-Man 2 story. Okay, I might check it out. Not sure if I'll review it. It has to be really good. It has to be, like, so good that I want to talk about it. I don't talk about bad fan films. That's why we skipped out on Spider-Man Lotus. We need the wedding reject Stan Lee scene for a future review for a wedding episode. Yeah, that would definitely be funny. Yeah, this is one of my top 10 favorite cameos. Going on high S tier. It is just plain funny, and Stan Lee actually gets to act this time. Easily Excelsior level. Like, when are we having a Wasp or Ant-Man tier list? Very soon, Akira, very soon. My first time seeing, or at least recognizing, a Stan Lee cameo was in Ultimate Spider-Man, but the real first time I saw a Stan Lee cameo is growing up with Superhero Squad on Netflix. Okay, really good show, Bat Kid. Alright, this one going on to S tier. Alright, I think we got like one more Fox cameo on here. Just trying to find it. Alright, looks like we're about to be heading into the MCU soon. Oh, here we go. Let's bump off X-Men Apocalypse. Yes, Stan Lee shows up in X-Men Apocalypse, and this one's also pretty good cameo. I'm gonna put it onto Nuff Said. This one, Apocalypse is taking over the world and releasing all the nuclear missiles and causing an Armageddon. Apocalypse wants to take away all the weapons that can stop him and mutant kind, and we see both Stan Lee and his then wife reacting in fears watching the nuclear missiles take off, and yeah, it's a pretty fun cameo. Stan Lee and his wife don't say anything, they just hold each other, look scared, and looking up at the sky as Apocalypse brings about the apocalypse, and we see them looking scared at a missile, and the missiles reflect in Stan Lee's glasses for a close-up shot, just to show you that it's Stan Lee. Yeah, this one's another pretty good one. Much better than his cameos in the original trilogy, that's for sure. Stan Lee called this his favorite cameo for a long time because he got to appear with his wife by his side. I would argue he did a much better one with his wife coming up later, but this one I thought, yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty A-tier cameo. I'm gonna put it onto Nuff Said. Seeing your guys' comments. Yeah, okay, so the Apocalypse one, definitely a fun one. Seeing Stan Lee in a much better crowd reaction shot. I'll put it onto Nuff Said. Unfortunately, I wish the movie was a lot better. Otherwise, I would have raised it to S tier. Alright, so yeah, I think we're done with the Fox timeline. Oh, wait, got one more. Here's Stan Lee on Man-Thing, and this is our first F tier. Why? Because Stan Lee doesn't even appear in it. So, we see the detective going over the case of what's happening in Bywater Swamp, and Stan Lee shows up as a picture on a missing persons board. Yep, this one was so lame, Stan Lee didn't even show up. So, Stan Lee did take a photo, and they posted it on this missing persons board. The detective is like looking over all the people who vanished in Bywater Swamp, being killed by the mysterious Man-Thing, and you see Stan Lee very briefly among a bunch of pictures. And yeah, sorry, the photo's really small for this tier list, but it's lame, it's pretty lame. Stan Lee appears as a photo on a background. That is how low this cameo is. Our first bad cameo. As god-awful as Madam Web is, shame he and his wife died before it was made, since she was Madam Web in the animated series. Yeah, but I think they kind of dodged a bullet being out of that movie. That was not good. Okay, so finally out of the original Fox timeline, we still have Deadpool, but he's now a part of the MCU anyway. Yeah, Man-Thing, first F-tier cameo. Now let's get to some Marvel cameos. Starting with the Invincible Iron Man, where Stan Lee gets mistaken for Hugh Hefner. This kind of became his thing in the Iron Man trilogy. Tony Stark would walk by Stan Lee and hilariously mistake him for some other celebrity. In the first one, he's mistaken for Hugh Hefner, and yeah, I'll put this one onto Excelsior because it is dang funny. Stan Lee listed this as one of his top favorite cameos too because he got to appear with Iron Man and be mistaken as Hugh Hefner. That really made him laugh, and honestly it is pretty funny. Yeah, Tony Stark is showing up at this big celebrity party, and he says, "Hey, Hef," and he pats him on the back, and he turns around, revealing it's not Hugh Hefner, it's Stan Lee. Stan Lee is like meeting with a bunch of hot fangirls who want a piece of him. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It is laugh out loud funny. I'll put it on to S tier. Like when you get the Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, will you rank all the costumes of all the characters? Not sure, there is a ton of different Lego outfits in that. Might be too big for me to handle, honestly. I do want to talk about the game though, since it looks pretty fun. Anyways, the Iron Man cameo, it's a joke cameo, but a really funny joke cameo, going on to S tier. Alright, after that came, yes, the first Incredible Hulk movie, which is debated on if it's owned by Disney or owned by Universal Pictures. Yeah, I think this is it. This one, honestly, is a bit more of a mixed cameo for me because I don't like seeing Stan Lee die. Stan Lee appears in basically a montage. General Ross is getting reports that they think they found the Incredible Hulk because A bottling company accidentally got a drop of Bruce Banner's blood in it, and Stan Lee, of course, is the innocent civilian who drinks it and gets poisoned. He gets gamma radiation poisoning from drinking a contaminated bottle from the Brazil Soda Company, and we see Stan Lee basically keel over dead. This one, honestly, I have mixed feelings on, because I don't like seeing Stan Lee die. I love Stan Lee. I don't want to see him die unless it's a funny joke death, but yeah, Stan Lee accidentally drinks a contaminated soda bottle and gets radiation poisoning, and this leads to General Ross finding out where the Hulk is. Yeah, the one where he drinks gamma drink. Yeah, I don't like seeing Stan Lee hurt. I love Stan Lee. But yeah, Stan Lee gets gamma radiation, and they never tell us if he survived or if he's alive and well, if it was just a medical attack. But no, Stan Lee gets poisoned in this movie. Yeah, going on to mid-tier. I don't like seeing Stan Lee hurt, guys. Okay, I like him. Then after that, I believe, came Iron Man 2. I'm trying to find it. He gets, like, mistaken for another celebrity. Yeah, Tony thinks he's Larry King. Yeah, is it on here? Yeah, here it is. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, so he gets another mistaken identity. Tony Stark and Rhodey go to a party, and they're live streaming it, filming people, and they mistake Stan Lee for Larry King. And this one, I also thought was alright. Gonna put it onto mid-tier. Yeah, Stan Lee is dressed in his suspenders, and Tony thinks he's Larry King. And he just, like, rolls his eyes and huffs at that, and that's it. Honestly, kind of a mediocre cameo. It is kind of funny, but Iron Man 2 is very forgettable. And I think Stan Lee's cameo is just real quick in this one. Not one of my favorite ones, going on to mid-tier. Hey, a Cat and Wolf, how are both of you? Hey, Saga, we're doing good. Just released a new Twilight Zone review available on Patreon. Talk about a really big episode, so I hope you guys check it out. Like the FDA should have checked that. Yes, they should have, Akira. And in Lego Marvel superhero games, they make Stan Lee become the Hulk. Yeah, he's Excelsior Stan Lee. On June 1st will be the 22nd anniversary of Pokemon the movie. Jirachi Wishmaker. Okay, never saw that one. Alright, so, yeah, we're still in Phase 1, so I believe after that came Thor. And this one actually is pretty funny. Stan Lee appears in Thor, going to put this one onto A tier. And yeah, it is a lot funnier than Ang Lee's The Hulk one. Basically, an entire town finds Mjolnir. Thor's hammer is stuck, and it's like a sword in the stone type of deal. Everyone wants to pull it out. Everyone wants to prove they're worthy of the hammer of Thor. And Stan Lee shows up in this contest trying to get it. Stan Lee and a bunch of rednecks bring a tow truck and try to move Thor's hammer, and it completely destroys the tow truck. And Stan Lee turns around, revealing that he's the driver, asking, "Hey, did it work?" He's like smiling and optimistic and finds out, nope, his truck is totally destroyed. This one, really funny cameo, honestly. It is so shocking too because you don't see it coming. Yeah, basically, Stan Lee wanted to lift Thor's hammer and ended up totaling his truck, and we see the driver of the tow truck is Stan the Man. Yep, pretty funny. Going on to A tier. And could we see Wolf Entertainment t-shirt saying, "Oh, Selena," and "Curse you, house"? Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Have to fund that, though, Akira. Like, Mjolnir is one heavy hammer. Yeah, Mjolnir is only lifted by those worthy of it. Mjolnir is a hero's weapon, and only a noble soul can actually lift it. Stan Lee tries to take it with his truck and epic fails. That is just pretty funny. Oh, and the 30th will be the 31st anniversary of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Awesome. It's a shame Wolf isn't here. Yeah, sorry, but Wolf is doing a volunteer marathon run. A long story, but yeah, Wolf wants to join this marathon run, and he's like standing in line at a stadium right now trying to get his certificate. Yeah, sorry guys, Wolf is very busy. He is working on videos, but Wolf wanted to take a break and get some exercise. Alright, so Thor cameo, really funny, going on to A tier. Next, I believe, yeah, Captain America, here he is. Captain America, the first Avenger, and I like this one because you don't see it coming. Stan Lee shows up as a general at an award show, giving Captain America a Medal of Valor, and Stan Lee shows up in the crowd shot. Captain America mysteriously doesn't show up, and one of the assistants comes out and whispers to the host's ear that, oh, Cap's not here, and we see Stan Lee is there, and he gets a funny line. I thought he'd be taller. Yeah, this one, also pretty funny. I love the first Avenger, so this one's going on to S tier. I liked it more than Iron Man 1. Not as good as the Fantastic Four cameos, but this one, pretty fun joke cameo. Seeing Stan Lee at Captain America's Medal of Honor show, and he doesn't know who Captain America is. This one's definitely a funny one, going on to S tier. Alright, so got one more Phase 1 movie. Did we do them all? Yeah, we did Cap, we did Hulk, we did Thor, we did 2 Iron Mans. Next, I believe, is his Avengers cameo. Avengers Assemble, and might upset some people, but this one I thought was alright, going on to A tier. I liked it better than the Apocalypse cameo, but Ang Lee's Hulk cameo, that one was just more entertaining. We see Stan Lee appears at the wrap-up of the Avengers. Yeah, basically, we see reports all over New York City reacting to the invasion, and Stan Lee finally appears, saying, superheroes in New York? Yeah, right. He's like playing chess with, I believe, somebody who's supposed to be Jack Kirby or a lookalike of him. I'm not sure if it is Jack Kirby, I didn't look it up, but Stan Lee is definitely here. He appears, has a funny line, and it pretty much goes by fast. It's a blink and you miss it type of cameo. Honestly, I did not see it the first time I ever watched this movie. I had to actually go back and try to find him. And yeah, he appears in basically a news segment where he says he doesn't believe in superheroes, which is funny because he's in the world of Marvel. Yeah, this one's pretty alright. I'll put it on to A tier, but it's not one of my all-time favorite Lee appearances. The deleted one was funnier. Ask for her number, you moron. Yeah, that one was much funnier. Wait, a common book YouTuber is getting an exercise? Ha ha ha, very funny. Where is he? Hey, Wolf gets exercise. We're not just sitting in our mom's basement recording these videos. Could we have Catastrophe in a Spider-Man outfit since Spider-Verse has Spider-Cat? That would be pretty funny. I was actually going to make a Marvel cat avatar at one point. I was going to be Cat-Nito. Basically, Magneto, have Eric Lenscher's cool Magneto hat on me and with my cat ears sticking out. Was going to draw that, but I haven't gotten around to any real Marvel videos. Not trying to disrespect the tier list here, but I mean like an official edited video, like my reviews. Trying to find the right Marvel story to talk about. Funny considering most heroes in Marvel are based out of New York. Yeah, I remember Earth's Mightiest Heroes made fun of that. We gotta get some West Coast Avengers. Okay, so yeah, basically Stan Lee doesn't believe in Marvel superheroes. He appears for a real small blink and you miss it cameo. As John Smith pointed out, the deleted one was much funnier, where he says, get her number, you moron, basically giving dating advice to one of the Avengers. I think it was either Thor or Captain America. But the one that officially made it, I thought it was fine. That was decent, a really funny joke cameo, but I've seen much better. I'm gonna put it on to Nuff Said, though, because some people do really love it. Alright, so now on to Phase 2, starting with Iron Man 3, and oh boy, might upset some people with this one also. It's another blink and you miss it cameo, and one I wasn't truly fond of, if I can find it. Yeah, Stan Lee is like, here it is. Alright, Stan Lee's a judge at a beauty pageant, and he doesn't even say anything. This one is our first Tony Stank. Alright, so Iron Man 3 is a polarizing film among Marvel fans. I thought it had highlights, but it also had some really big lows. Namely, the Mandarin is one of the worst villains we've ever had. But this also has one of the first cameos I didn't care for from Stan Lee. Iron Man is going around basically stealing equipment. He's like with a bunch of news vans. Tony Stark is trying to be undercover, hiding from the Mandarin's forces. And while this is going on, there's a beauty pageant happening, and Stan Lee makes a very quick 3-second cameo, giving a perfect 10 to one of the contestants. Yeah, we get dirty old man Stan Lee, and this will not be the last time. It's honestly really short. It's supposed to be another joke cameo, and honestly I kind of missed it the first time I saw this. I had to rewatch it on FX and I finally saw it, and yeah, I really didn't care for it. Stanley doesn't say anything, he doesn't get to do much, and Stanley basically creeps on the beauty pageant contestants. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's also not one of his best cameos. It's a very low bar cameo. Going on our first Tony Stank. May Wolf land in the top 3 in the marathon? Hope so. Like better than Miraculous World, New York, Heroes United? Yeah, that one was not so good. Iron Man 3, where why did we get a kid with a potato gun toy as a partner? Yeah, that was a really messy movie. If we ever talk about it, it's probably not going to rank highly on one of my tier lists. But Stan Lee's cameo, honestly kind of our first dud cameo in the MCU, did not care for it. Alright, speaking of dud cameos, now it's time for Thor the Dark World. This one was a bit better than Iron Man 3's, but not by much. Thor the Dark World is easily one of the top 10 worst MCU movies. I think it's kind of moved down because of recent crap that's come out, but this one, still not a good film. Thor the Dark World is painfully boring and cringy, and Stan Lee shows up for a wacky cameo. Basically, we see the professor guy is locked in an insane asylum. We're tricked into believing he's still a teacher, giving lectures about Asgard, and we see, nope, he's in the nut house, and Stan Lee is one of the mental patients there. He asks, does anyone have any questions? And all the mental patients are not paying attention to him or acting crazy. Stanley says, yeah, I got a question. Can I get my shoe back? This one, it's alright. Better than the Hulk cameo, but not by much. I do not rewatch Thor the Dark World often because I think it is a boring, slow, unfunny mess. And Stan Lee's cameo, it's a highlight, but that's not saying much in this movie. Stan Lee being Cletus's therapist is the best idea compared to the others. Thank you, Monica. They either died or turned insane. I think Stan Lee has a better chance of being spared because he's Stan Lee. Yeah, he does. Imagine if it was George Lucas who was in the insane asylum. That'd be pretty funny. Like Thor the Dark World is weird, like Malekith doesn't look like he's in the comics, or like his Earth's Mightiest Heroes counterpart. Yeah, Malekith is much better in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon than he is in this movie. Even Doctor Who couldn't save this film. Okay, Stan Lee's cameo in here is fine, it's cute, it has its funny moments, but not one of my all-time favorite cameos, and I do not rewatch this movie often, so it's going on mid-tier. Alright, so around this time, I believe the Amazing Spider-Man movies were coming out, so we can knock off one of the Sony cameos again. Let's do the Amazing Spider-Man 1 Stan Lee cameo, and for a long time, this was one of the biggest fan favorite cameos ever, and it's still pretty good. Stan Lee is basically an old librarian, he's sorting books, and while he's doing this, he has his headphones on, playing loud music, as the Lizard and Spider-Man break into the library and have an epic battle in the background. And it's really funny. This is one of his top cameos, going on to Excelsior. Yeah, I will be putting it under the Silver Surfer cameo. This one, it is so insane, it is cool, it is epic, it is funny, and Stan Lee, having no idea how he's in danger and not seeing Spider-Man or the Lizard almost kill him, barely dodging attacks, that is just insanely humorous. The villain is scarier in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Yes, he is. Amazing Spider-Man, still one of his best cameos. Enough said. Hey, Bodhi, you made it. You missed us talk about most of the Fox movies. We're on some of the MCU, decided to do a Sony movie. Yeah, this one, it's one of his best cameos. I can see it on the top 5. Yeah, Stan Lee's just there sorting books, and the Lizard and Spidey are fighting in the background. He almost gets killed multiple times, barely steps out of the way from attacks, and Stan Lee basically leaves the library not noticing all the action that happened while the Lizard and Spidey get back to their fight. The last thing I can say is the CGI has not held up well. No, it has not. Thank you, Tails. Yeah, he is much scarier on EMH. You know him keep ranting about the Star Wars Holiday Special? Yeah, that would be pretty funny, Saga. Well, Deadpool is a Fox movie. Yeah, but Deadpool's now technically a part of the MCU. I know this is kind of weird, but yeah, Ryan Reynolds is technically in the MCU now. We can talk about Deadpool soon. But yeah, first Amazing Spider-Man cameo, definitely a funny one. That one's S tier. Can't say the same about the second one. This one's a real quick one. It's a funny one, but I think it definitely has its moments. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker are graduating high school, and Peter runs in his graduation gear but forgets he's wearing his mask, and Stan Lee is in the crowd, and he's the only one who sees Peter didn't take off his spider suit. And he goes, "I think I know that guy." Yeah, Stan Lee's there in a crowd shot and gets a funny cameo. This one I will put on to A tier. It's another nuff said cameo. I still remember all the theories about Stan Lee drinking the gamma-infected soda in the 2008 Hulk. We were just talking about that one, Bodhi. I don't like it because Stan Lee might be dead. That's one that made it lower for me. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. This one's a much shorter cameo compared to the first movie, but it's kind of funny. It's a joke cameo, a really quick one, but seeing Stan Lee having a comedic reaction to saying, "Oh, I think I know that guy." He knows Peter Parker and Spider-Man are the same guy. Really funny moment, but it never comes up in the rest of the film. And honestly, it's kind of rather jarring given how dead serious the second movie is. This one I'll put on to A tier. It's funny, but not as good as the librarian cameo. Like, I hope Ghost Rider will be in Marvel Rivals. I thought he was. Which one, since we have Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketcher, Robbie Reyes? I'm sure it will be Johnny Blaze, but they might put in Robbie Reyes for diversity's sake. I mean, he made a cameo in that one episode of The Simpsons when Homer becomes the Incredible Hulk. Fun fact, Saga, that cameo is on here. I added that one for some funny stuff to talk about. Alright, we gotta get back to the Marvel train. I believe we're still on phase 2. Next came, The Winter Soldier. This one is much, much funnier. Stan Lee is an old security guard working at the Smithsonian, and he sees Captain America's costume is missing. Our Steve Rogers needed a new uniform after S.H.I.E.L.D. was compromised by Hydra, and Cap goes to retrieve his first Avengers uniform. It's at a museum, and Stan Lee comes back to find Captain America's stuff missing. Aw, man, I am so fired. This one, going on to S tier. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Going on low S tier, but it is just so enjoyable. Yeah, Stan Lee walks in, he's guarding the Smithsonian at night, and he sees Captain America's stuff is gone, and he thinks this is gonna come back to haunt him. It's a pretty funny cameo. Going on to low S tier. So who should Nick Cage play in Secret Wars, Spider-Noir or Ghost Rider? I would love to see Nick Cage come back as Ghost Rider. That would be awesome. And seeing him with more tweaked up effects could definitely work. Though I'm very certain they'll also make him Spider-Noir because he's a lot more popular right now. Oh, it's okay, Saga. He is on here. Like, there is a new Ghostface cat plush shop official. Okay. The Incredible Homer. Rah! Homer mad! Homer smash! Look, it's the Incredible Hulk! Gah! He can't be the Hulk. I'm the Hulk. Rah! I gotta use a clip of that somewhere. I know Kira will say it. I'm partial to his Superhero Squad appearance, the only time Stan Lee was a full character in the universe rather than a cameo. Loved how he was written for such a kid's cartoon. Okay, Kira, we could bump that one off. Yeah, we got the mayor of Superhero City, who is Stan Lee. And yeah, don't worry, folks, this one's going up on high S tier. Yep, here he is, Bodhi, the mayor of Superhero City, voiced by Stan Lee. This is technically not Stan Lee, he's playing a character in this one, but he's the mayor of Marvel's Superhero City. And this is a reoccurring character, he gets a few roles. I believe he had one spotlight episode, but he's basically there giving exposition and funny banter with all the greatest icons of Marvel. And yeah, it is pretty funny, it's cute and adorable. Glad to see Stan Lee loves appearing in Marvel so much, he even does the child-friendly cartoons. Indirectly Stan Lee, yep he is. You want to do that next also hashtag Emperor Lemon reference? Firestar was in Superhero Squad as her only role. Well, also Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Okay, so I'm gonna level with you guys. I was kind of not into Marvel by the time Superhero Squad came out. It was basically seen as a show for babies. It is definitely a love letter to everything great about Marvel, and even obscure characters finally appeared in this universe for mainstream audiences. The animation was definitely weird. They looked more like toddler versions of Marvel's heroes and villains, and I could not get over that annoying theme song. Alright, squaddies, hero up! Superhero Squad, hero up! Superhero Squad, hero up! And we get this long-ass anime montage of all the heroes doing these cool poses and getting into their gear. It was very irritating at the time, and I'm a fan of Power Rangers, and even I found it way too long and obnoxious. But yeah, I was not super into Superhero Squad. I got into it much later, mainly when the Silver Surfer turned evil. He became the Golden Surfer, and he got the Infinity Glove, spreading the heroes across the Marvel multiverse. Here it actually got more interesting, and the stakes were very high. Sadly, no Stan Lee when Peter Griffin became the Hulk when he was lying to Lois about botching Stewie's birthday. Yeah, sadly that didn't happen. Why is The Simpsons green? Because they're envy. Like, I bet she returns as Christina V played her. Hoping you want to see Christina V in a lot of roles, Akira. Yeah, Tom Kenny's in there. He's Iron Man. Honestly, huge miscast, but he's also MODOK, who feels more like evil SpongeBob. Literally, his last dialogue in the final episode is, "Nuff said, true believers," immediately gives your identity away, dude. Yeah, basically, the mayor is Stan Lee in disguise, which is weird because is Stan Lee still a comic creator in this universe, or is he actually like a super important, omnipotent being? Hynden Walsh played Jean Grey. I know Tara Strong was also the Scarlet Witch. Bodhi, do you like Tara Strong as Wanda? I thought she was kind of miscast for Wanda, honestly. That series looks as bad as Teen Titans Go. Yeah, it did. It's why I wasn't super into it. I kind of like Superhero Squad. I remember watching it as a kid and even had toys of it. Yeah, it sold a lot of toys. Hey, at least it's better than Teen Titans Go. That it is, Saga, that it is. Dark Surfer, not Gold Surfer. Well, that confused me, Akira. He calls himself the Dark Surfer, but he becomes shiny. Yeah, that's not an oxymoron. Cartoon Network, what are you doing? I still love Superhero Squad, as childish and sometimes cringe as it was. It introduced me to even more Marvel characters after Ultimate Alliance. Really good game, huh, Bodhi? Just looked at my phone and saw the notifications. Hey, Shadow, you made it. Hello, true believers. So this is a surprise Stan Lee cameos. Hey, Shadow, you made it. Yeah, talking about all the Stan Lee cameos, got through at least half of them. Mostly a lot of his short ones throughout the Fox universe. We covered Phase 1, we covered the early 2000s. I was talking about the Superhero Squad cameo. My friend Bodhi really loves this show, and honestly, this one is a pretty fun appearance. Technically, it's not a cameo, he's a reoccurring character, but hey, what the heck, I'll count it anyway. It's not often we get to talk about Stan Lee on this channel. Okay, so we're at the halfway point, true believers. We got a lot in A tier and S tier, some in the bottom tier, but we'll go over them for any of you late birds right now. So far, taking the lead is the rise of the Silver Surfer cameo. I love it. It is really funny. But we also have The Amazing Spider-Man 1, Mayor of Superhero City, the first Fantastic Four movie with Mailman Stan Lee, Captain America, the First Avenger, the Winter Soldier security guard, and Iron Man 1, Hugh Hefner Stan Lee. These ones are S tier, really like them, really enjoyable. They're definitely fun cameos and peak Stan Lee. Got a lot in A tier, mostly a lot of his quick appearances. We have Stan Lee being saved by Daredevil, Stan Lee saving civilians in Spider-Man 1 and 2, Stan Lee reacting to the Apocalypse and X-Men Apocalypse, the Avengers blink and you miss it news report Stan Lee. These ones are pretty fine, very quick, might easily miss them, but I think they're fun ones. We do have the Amazing Spider-Man 2 joke cameo. Hey, I think I know that guy. Pretty funny. Got his Thor cameo, which is one of his funniest appearances, where he's trying to lift Mjolnir with his tow truck. And we have Ang Lee's The Hulk, where we see Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno talking about security. Yeah, these ones are A tier. Definitely a really enjoyable, fun ones. Some that are too quick, but I do say they are definitely fine. In mid-tier, we do have some growing here. We have Stan Lee drinking the Gamma poison soda in the second Hulk movie, have his appearance in the Nut House and Thor the Dark World. Ugh, terrible movie. Have his background appearances in X-Men 1 and X-Men 3. Definitely cute appearances, but very quick. And we have Larry King Stan Lee in Iron Man 2. These ones are fine. Not offensively bad, but I also didn't really care for them that much. And some of you might miss out that Stan Lee was even there. Underneath, we have our first Tony Stank one, him judging the beauty pageant in Iron Man 3. Yeah, I did not care for this one, and honestly, I kind of missed it the first time I saw this film. This one, easily a missable Stan Lee appearance, and we only have one bad one so far. The Man-Thing cameo, where Stan Lee didn't even show up, he was just on a missing persons board. Yeah, this one easily the worst one by far. Will it be the number one bad cameo? We'll see, but we still have half the list to go. You want Teen Titans Go, Stan Lee out of the way, Akira? Yeah, like, why does he sound like Pete? That's right, Jim Cummings was Thanos. Oh, you loved him as Thanos, Bodhi. Okay, I didn't know that. I couldn't get over how he sounds like Pete from Mickey Mouse. That was kind of distracting, honestly. Is the Fox gifted cameo here? Sorry, Shadow, he is not. I've not seen a lot of the Marvel TV shows, so we kind of excluded some of those. Yeah, the show introduced me to the Infinity War comic story, even though they twisted it around by making the Silver Surfer the twist villain and throwing Thanos aside. Rip to this legend, by the way. Thank you, Shadow, he was awesome. It was theorized that Stan Lee was the Watcher before his death. Yeah, I know that. That's coming up soon. Like, Thanos was played by Jim Cummings. That was kind of weird hearing Thanos voiced by Tigger. Honestly, yes, one of the few roles I liked from Tara was her Wanda. Oh, really, Bodhi? I did not know that. Hello, true believers. Okay, so Jim Cummings as Thanos was just kind of weird. I could not unhear Pete or Tigger. It just sounded very off. I'm glad some people liked him, but for me, he was not my ideal Thanos voice. Honestly, Michael Ironside should play Thanos. Good, the gifted cameo was nothing. He just walked out of the building and said nothing. Blink and you miss it. Okay, very good. Well, better than Weird Al as Darkseid or as Keith David. Keith David would be a good Darkseid. He would. Tony Todd was also a good Darkseid. He just needed better movies. Alright, for Akira, we'll do Stan Lee's appearance in Teen Titans Go. Yes, Teen Titans Go to the Movies had a Stan Lee cameo. Robin and the gang are driving through the theater lots across Hollywood, and Stan Lee appears for a cameo. Like, the Teen Titans have to point it out. Stan Lee, I know this isn't my franchise, but I just love making cameos. And the Teen Titans Go squad run him over. Yeah, it is so hilarious seeing him on Teen Titans Go. Honestly, I might put this one on low A. Oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was another excellent cameo with Stan chatting with the Watchers. Yes, it was, Bodhi. Yes, it was. The MCU Man-Thing Halloween or the old 70s, 80s show. This is the 2000s Man-Thing movie. This one was a very obscure and a lackluster Marvel movie. It appeared in the 2000s, tried to make Man-Thing a slasher murder mystery type of tale. It did not do so well because Man-Thing was barely present in his own film. Anyways, Teen Titans Go, Stan Lee. Yes, they actually got Stan Lee to appear on a DC movie, and it's funny because he points out, oh, this isn't his normal franchise, but Stan Lee just loves making his cameos. Stan Lee was the modern Hitchcock with cameos. Yes, he was, Shadow. And honestly, it's pretty funny. I did not expect to see Stan Lee appearing on a DC film, let alone Teen Titans Go. Yeah, it's honestly really funny. I will give Teen Titans Go this. It was hilarious seeing Stan Lee basically muscling in on DC's turf. It was supposed to kind of poke fun at Stan Lee, but Lee is so awesome that he made the Teen Titans look like clowns. Well, Stan Lee created Batman, Wayne Williams, an African American former wrestler with bat themed gear. Okay. I mean, he was in Big Hero 6 of all movies, so I can't really judge. Okay, so this one, actually a pretty good highlight. I am amazed that Teen Titans Go somehow got Stan Lee. That is definitely an amazing feat. I'll put it onto low A tier. Speaking of Big Hero 6, we do have him on here. Yes, here is Stan Lee making a surprise appearance on Big Hero 6. So, there are some spoilers here, but Stan Lee turns out to be the father of one of the main characters. I believe Fred. Fred has an estranged relationship with his father, and he reunites with his dad at the end of the movie, revealing it's Stan Lee, and they bond over underwear. Yeah, this one was kind of weird. I might put it on to did it work? Okay, I do not like the Big Hero 6 movie all that much. It has some funny and cool moments, but the twist villain was terrible, and I did not like the main character for the longest time because he's kind of bratty, but Stan Lee's cameo, I think it's fine. It definitely has its funny moments. It is so bizarre seeing Stan Lee showing up in a Pixar movie of all things, but Big Hero 6 is technically a part of the Marvel universe. Don't ask me how that works, but apparently Marvel fans do count it. Stan Lee showing up is definitely a highlight of the film, but it's so bizarre, and seeing him and Fred having a motto about underwear, that is just so quirky. As he created Justice League, but in his own image. Also, if he's dead, is Fred's dad gonna have a funeral in Big Hero 6.2? Yeah, are they gonna make a sequel to Big Hero 6? Because I know they made a spin-off TV show, but we haven't seen like a second movie. And it's weird because Pixar is doing sequels for Toy Story, but not any of their, more current franchises. But yeah, Stan Lee shows up at the end of this movie, and I'll admit it is pretty funny, but then it gets really weird because both he and his son are kind of the weirdos of their team. Stan Lee used to be a superhero, then his dad took up his legacy, and they bond over how they wear tights and underwear. Didn't you hear Big Hero 6 will return in Avengers Doomsday? Can't wait. Betamax will take out Doctor Doom. And Stan Lee's version of Wonder Woman. Yeah, I saw Linkara review those. She's a Peruvian activist who gains magical powers from the Incan sun god. Boy, that is really weird. Okay, yeah. Big Hero 6, I'll put on to B tier. I gotta get back to Phase 2 with Guardians of the Galaxy, and this one, honestly, I did not really care for. We see Stan Lee on an alien planet. This one's going on to Tony Stank. Might upset some people, but this cameo honestly didn't do much for me. Didn't really find it offensively bad, but Stan Lee kind of feels shoehorned into this movie. We see Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot are trying to track down Star-Lord because everyone is after him, and Rocket is scoping in on a bunch of people, and one of these people is Stan Lee. We see Stan Lee trying to hit on another woman, a young, hot, attractive woman. He tries to basically get her to join him for his special art gallery, and Rocket is dubbing over him, kind of making fun of him. I don't like Rocket picking on Stan Lee, that's kind of why I dislike it, but yeah, Stan Lee shows up and Rocket makes fun of him because, oh, you think you have a chance with her? She's out of your league. Go back to the retirement home, old man. Yeah, Rocket just being a dick to Stan Lee. Guardians of the Galaxy is cool. Yeah, the movie is pretty cool. As a shame Big Hero 6 never shows Sunfire or Silver Samurai. Yeah, that is. I like the first half of Big Hero 6, then the post-credits scene. The second half was meh. Yeah, I didn't really care for the movie. Honestly, I found Betamax more annoying than he was charming. We need the clip for future reviews. Okay, maybe. Yeah, honestly, didn't really care for this cameo. One, you barely hear what Stan Lee's saying, and two, Rocket kind of just pokes fun at him. I think his cameo in the second film was way, way better. Here, it feels like Stan Lee was kind of shoehorned in, and they didn't really care for his cameo this time. Going on to Tony Stank. Alright, ending Phase 2, so we should be getting to Avengers Age of Ultron. Yep, here he is. Stan Lee shows up at the Avengers party. The Avengers are having a get-together where they're all hanging out, having a Citadel-style party, and Stan Lee is there. Stan Lee is one of the veterans, and he challenges Thor to a drinking game, telling him, oh, he can beat him, he can handle his liquor, and Thor and Stan Lee drink Asgardian ale, getting into a drink-off, and Stan Lee gets totally wasted and says his catchphrase. Like, we see his buddies are trying to lift him out of his room, and Stan Lee drunkenly says, Excelsior! This one, honestly pretty funny. I'll put it on to high A tier. Yeah, I did like it a bit more than his Hulk cameo. This one was definitely funny because Stan Lee actually gets to say his catchphrase, and Stan Lee has the guts to challenge Thor to a drinking contest. We need Sunfire or Silver Samurai for Marvel. Silver Samurai did appear in The Wolverine. That's kind of a mixed movie to some people, but I did not like the Iron Man suit Silver Samurai. He could be voiced by Patrick Seid, Scorpion's actor. Yeah, that could be really cool. We need the ale drink off for a future review with a party. Okay, so I love the Avengers having a get-together party, kind of having like a Citadel-style party. Stan Lee shows up, gets drunk, he loses to Thor because the old guy can't hold his liquor, and he gets to say his catchphrase. Definitely a funny cameo. High A tier. Going on, enough said. Alright, so last for phase 2, I believe, yep, we made it to Ant-Man, and this one, did not really care for. This one's also going on to Tony Stank. It was funnier than the Guardians cameo, but Stan Lee doesn't even get to talk in this cameo. So, unfortunately, Stan Lee doesn't appear until the end of the movie, where Michael Pena goes on a long tangent. It's supposed to be kind of funny, but Pena's telling a story about how, oh, I met this guy and he was like, then I met this girl and she was like, and during this montage, we see all the characters basically saying stuff Pena does. It's an excuse for celebrity cameos, and none of them actually talk. They're just saying what Michael Pena's saying, and we see Stan Lee is a bartender, and he's talking to this guy about how hot a girl is, and Pena basically dubs Stan Lee's lines here. It's, kind of funny, but honestly not really all that entertaining. I'm not a huge fan of the first Ant-Man movie. I thought it was okay, but Stan Lee's cameo, honestly not that very entertaining. Yeah, he's a bartender. He shows up at the bar and Michael Pena dubs his voiceover. Yeah, she looking fine, super feisty. And yeah, I do not like Michael Pena. I find him very irritating in this movie. I do not care for him being the wacky best friend, and basically, he's talking over everyone. Stan Lee doesn't even get to talk in this film. Going on to Tony Stank. Alright, now we finally made it to his Phase 3 cameos, and sadly the last time we'll ever be seeing Stan Lee in the MCU, the final phase, Phase 3. We do have some extra movies on here, so don't worry guys, we'll be seeing Stan again. Alright, next I think we should bump off his cameo in Deadpool. Yep, here he is, where Stan Lee, I kid you not, is a DJ announcer at a strip club, and he introduces Deadpool to his girlfriend, Vanessa. This one, easily going on to S tier. Yeah, this one's pretty funny. Stan Lee seeing this guy at a strip club, and he's talking about, oh, look how hot Morena Baccarin is, and Deadpool is at the strip club. This one, laugh out loud, hilarious. This is how they get Stan Lee into this movie, because Deadpool's a lot more hardcore and gritty, and seeing Stan Lee making a cameo as a DJ at a strip club is just all kinds of fun. What did you think about the Stan AI from last year? Honestly, I don't know what I think about it. I have not even heard of that. Like DJ. I mean, he wasn't wrong about the girl, though. No, he was not. Yeah, Morena Baccarin, really hot. Like her as Black Canary, and I like her in live action, too. Yeah, Bodhi, did you know Morena Baccarin, your favorite Black Canary, is in Deadpool? She plays Deadpool's love interest. And yeah, it is a pretty funny cameo. Why they skip Hank Pym as Ant-Man in the MCU, like the scene of Hank Pym being a jerk was edited out. Okay, so Akira, if you don't know, The MCU is kind of afraid to touch Hank Pym because of the infamous comic where he slapped his wife. Hank Pym became a domestic abuser villain in the comics, and Marvel is deeply ashamed of this comic, so they try to step around or avoid using Hank Pym often. It's why we haven't seen Hank and Janet appear in a lot of things. But yeah, basically, Hank Pym was supposed to be an important character, but they ended up not using him. Because Marvel does not want fans to look up and remember that, oh yeah, Ant-Man was once a domestic abuser and he got the infamous comic where he slapped his loving wife. And basically, they're afraid of touching Hank Pym again and afraid they'll be glorifying an abuser, when really all they have to do is fix the character. Yeah, his Simpsons cameo is down here, right here, below his animated appearances. Yeah, he was funny as a DJ. Stan Lee will return in Avengers Doomsday thanks to AI. That's a joke, Disney. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Well, Deadpool definitely had Stan Lee to thank for Vanessa. Yeah, because she's Morena Baccarin, and she's one of the most beautiful women ever. Well, it's disrespected Stan Lee's legacy, Tails. Yeah, it did. If the activist gets powers from the Incan sun god, would that mean her powers come from sacrificing people given historical evidence of multiple Native American tribes and empires? Not sure if I'll be touching that one back, kid. As Alfred would say, I ain't touching that one. And the reason why the MCU replaces the Enchantress for Hela, because Amora's too hot. Disney is afraid to pander to the male gaze and have sexy women, even though they have Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Yeah, I find it ridiculous, but they don't want to use Amora because she's a seductress villain, and they're afraid that will demean women. That an enchantress is enchanting. Yeah, Disney does not do Marvel right. Okay, so anyways, Deadpool at the strip club. Yeah, this one, definitely a fun cameo. Going on to high 8s here, and it's so hilarious seeing Stan Lee introduce Deadpool to his girlfriend. Easily an Excelsior. Alright guys, gotta be right back. Gonna use my first restroom break, but tell me which movie you guys want to see next. Which movie, which cartoon, which cameo, whatever. Cast your vote in the chat below. I'll be right back. Alright, Wolfpack, we're back. What'd you guys vote for? Might as well continue with the Phase 3, The Incredible Homer. Please mute your mic. Too late, Tails. Marvel has retconned things before. Spider-Man and Iron Man's relationship. They aren't that close in the comics. No, they were not. Had some great stuff with Scarlet and Iron Man 2 before Disney locked it in. Yeah, then they also gave us that terrible Black Widow movie after she was long dead. Also, DC makes a female butler for Batman. I heard that. I haven't actually read it because I haven't read a comic in a while. Oh yeah, Daphne's also Alfred's niece. They should have made Daphne the new Alfred. Yeah, they should have. Oh, but we do have like one more Deadpool cameo. Yes, I do have the cameo down here. Stan Lee appears in Deadpool's short, No Good Deed. Hey, nice suit. Zip it, Stan Lee. Yeah, this one, going on to Excelsior. This one's definitely funny. I'm gonna put it underneath his strip club cameo. Yeah, Stan Lee appears for like 2 seconds, and it's funny because Deadpool points out it's a Stan Lee cameo. That is the joke. Yeah, I did use this clip before, where Stan Lee's just on the suit, Deadpool, like, Stan Lee's on the street, Deadpool gets into his badass outfit to go save a guy who's being mugged and attacked, and the joke is Deadpool is not fast enough because he's not a good hero. Yeah. Hey, nice suit. Zip it, Stanley. Really funny. Yeah, you know the quote, Shadow. This one's definitely a funny cameo. Really quick appearance, but definitely a fun one. This one makes it onto high S tier. Love his appearances in the Deadpool movies. Or Julia Remarque, Alfred's daughter from the older comics. Or they could just make Batgirl Alfred's niece like she was in Batman and Robin. Okay, so not too much to say. It's short and sweet and definitely a really funny gag. Going on S tier, it is an Excelsior cameo. Okay, now we're still on phase 3. Trying to remember which came next. I believe it was Civil War. No, that's right, Stanley was in here. Are you Tony Stank? Yeah, this is Tony Stank. This one definitely going on to S tier also. Much better than Iron Man's. I will put it under the first Avenger though. I just kind of like that one a bit more. Stan Lee shows up as a FedEx delivery man and he gets Tony Stark's name wrong. Are you Tony Stank? And basically Rhodey makes fun of him because, yeah, he mispronounced his name. Yeah, this one also really funny cameo. Yeah, I just assumed Stan Lee wanted to have some involvement in what was going on to be in Hugh Jackman's final bow out at the time without breaking the seriousness of Logan. Yeah, that was pretty good. Civil War. Definitely one of the funniest cameos. Yeah, it is hilarious because, get it? Because Stan Lee made these characters and he can't get their names right. That is the joke. Yeah, Stan Lee is a FedEx delivery man. That is definitely a sight to behold. This one going on to Excelsior. One of the funniest cameos he ever made. Alright, next, don't want to do Guardians just yet. Let's knock off a different Phase 3 film. Let's knock off one of his weaker ones, Black Panther. This one, honestly, I didn't care for either, going on to low did it work. T'Challa is at a casino, and Stan Lee shows up after T'Challa leaves without taking his gambling chips, and he says, oh, I'll hold on to those for safekeeping. It's honestly kind of random, this cameo. I know that's not saying much because a lot of his cameos are random, but Stan Lee basically steals the Black Panther's gambling chips, acting like, oh yeah, I know that guy, I'm his friend, let me hold his winnings for him, and that's really it. Honestly, I didn't really care for this one. It's honestly kind of weird because it's a funny moment in an otherwise dead serious Marvel movie. Like the Civil War cameos, huh, guys? Definitely one of his funniest. This one also tried to be funny, but Stan Lee kind of looks like a dick in this moment. It just steals that guy's entire winnings and acts like, oh, yeah, I'm his friend, just trust me. Honestly, a really quick cameo too. Going on to mid-tier. Sorry, but I didn't laugh as much as I did the other cameos above it. Going on to Did It Work? Alright, next, one of my favorite cameos, let's do Thor Ragnarok, where, I kid you not, Thor is taken captive by the Grand Master, and Stan Lee shows up as a psychotic barber who gives Thor a haircut. Hold still, my hands ain't as steady as they used to be. And Stan Lee gives like this evil cackling laugh. And Thor begs him, please don't cut my hair, sir. This one, going on to S tier, this one's also hilariously funny. Black Panther, a better live-action version of the Lion King than the actual live-action Lion King. That it was. Some creepy old man. Yeah, this one's actually pretty hilarious. Stan Lee shows up and gives Thor a haircut, and now Thor looks like Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, I know, I don't like Thor's hairstyle change in the Marvel movies either, mostly because he doesn't look like his character anymore by then, but the Stan Lee cameo, it is just a blast, seeing him as this psychotic alien barber who shaves Thor's head to make him look more like Chris Hemsworth. That is laugh out loud funny. I remember my audience laughed real hard at this cameo because Stan Lee's definitely having a blast here. When you do Tales from the Dark Side, do the Case of the Stubborns, you can talk about how Reverend Peabody is Brent Spiner, who played the Purple Man in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He was also Data on that low-key Star Trek show. And he was Riddler on Justice League Action. Yeah, it was pretty funny on that. Okay, so Barber Stan Lee, this one's definitely funny. This one really makes me laugh. It's a pretty entertaining cameo. Going on to Excelsior. Next, okay, let's get off one of his lesser cameos. Captain Marvel. Yes, Stan Lee appeared in Captain Marvel, and I gotta say, I like the montage of Stan Lee's cameos. This was around the time where Stan Lee passed away, and Captain Marvel was the movie that was a tribute to his death. And I feel so sorry for Stan Lee because this movie is god-awful. But Stan Lee does make a real cameo in the movie. He's on the train Captain Marvel board searching for the scrolls, and hilariously, he is reading a copy of his movie appearance in Mallrats. I've never seen Mallrats, so the joke did fly over my head, but this one I will put onto B tier. I'll put it under the Big Hero 6 cameo, since honestly it's like the one time we see Captain Marvel being a nice girl. She's looking for scrolls and she tries to look at Stan Lee's face. We see it's Stan Lee and he smiles at her, and what do you know, Brie Larson actually can smile and be nice. She gives Stan Lee a nice warm smile, letting him go back to his business before searching for the real scroll. This one, honestly, without being connected to a terrible movie, isn't that bad. What's Mallrats? What is it? It's a 90s comedy. It was on around the time, and basically the joke is it's implied this is the actual Stan Lee. Captain Marvel bumps into him, and Stan Lee is getting prepared for his appearance in that comedy movie. Like, could we use the evil alien barber for a future review? Just be glad Stan Lee was not an MCU's She-Hulk. I am very thankful for that. Did Kat compliment Miss Marvel? No, I complimented Captain Marvel. There's a difference. Yeah, Carol used to be Miss Marvel, and I do not like Brie Larson's character at all, but this is like the one scene where, oh my gosh, you mean Carol Danvers can be nice and pleasant? Well, normally she is, but not when she's Brie Larson or written by Disney. Yeah, we actually get to see Brie Larson be nice to Stan Lee, give him a warm smile, and let him go about his business. It's honestly a pretty cute scene in an otherwise god-awful garbage movie. I'm gonna put it onto mid-tier. It's not that bad. Stan Lee was in The Big Bang Theory. Yes, he was. Jennifer Hale and Grey DeLisle are better. Absolutely. I love them as Carol Danvers way better. Captain Marvel used to be one of the best superheroes ever. Then they just pretty much quadrupled down on making her the downer bitch and basically ruined her. They took away the Miz from Miss Marvel and made her Captain Marvel. Then they made Kamala Khan her fangirl, and basically the character has not been the same since. They just made her so much worse. I'm not looking forward to the MCU reboot. They should just stop and throw in the towel at this point. Wait until they ruin the X-Men. Yeah, the MCU just needs to stop. Their movies are not good anymore. Could we have a Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel tier list? Probably not, Akira, because that's gonna force me to watch Kamala Khan's MCU show, and I do not want to watch that show at all because the trailers made me cringe. So probably not. Okay, Captain Marvel cameo, honestly not that bad. We'll put it on to mid-tier. Alright, speaking of middling cameos, we also have to bump off Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, so this might confuse people because there's two Homecoming cameos on here. One is in his actual film, and one is from his Super Bowl ad, the trailer. This one I'm gonna put on to low did it work. Yeah, Stan Lee's there, and basically he gets another one kind of like in the same vein as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Peter Parker fights a bunch of criminals, and Stan Lee's there as a witness, and he says, "Hey, I think I know that guy." It is a complete throwback to, and also done before much better on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But we do have his actual Homecoming cameo, and this one I will put onto A tier. Yeah, I'll put it under Apocalypse because that one was a lot more profound. Stan Lee appears in Spider-Man Homecoming near the beginning, I might add, where we get a montage of Peter showing off his heroics as Spider-Man and what he does. Spider-Man accidentally triggers this guy's car alarm, and a bunch of neighbors come out to complain, and one of them is Stan Lee. Yeah, Stan Lee pokes his head out a window here and says, "Hey, knock it off, don't make me come down there." And he chit-chats with his neighbor across the street, who I believe is supposed to be his wife, but this one, kind of a cute cameo. It's another dumb fun appearance. Not as funny as some of these other ones, but it's definitely nice seeing Stan Lee still appearing in Spider-Man stuff. Yet this one I thought was pretty decent. I'm gonna put it on to A tier. The Super Bowl ad one, that one was kind of quick. It's also really nice, but Stan Lee didn't get to do a whole lot. Why is Kamala Khan a fangirl of Captain Marvel? Did Carol spend most of her time in deep space? The only time she returned was to fight Thanos in Endgame. Yeah, I guess Kamala saw that on the news, and she became an instant fan of this girl who's only fought on the Earth 2 times. One time where it was before she was even born. Yeah, I don't get it. They did it because it's in the comics. Because Kamala Khan looks up to Miss Marvel in the comics. They just translate that in the show and movie universe and it makes much less sense. Like Kamala Khan from the comics was inspired by Alice Ayala, my OC crush. I prefer Ayla Secura. Okay, so yeah, the Homecoming cameo, it's actually pretty nice. I'll put it on to A tier. Okay, not done with Phase 3 yet. Let's do Doctor Strange, and this one actually is a pretty funny one. I will put it onto low Excelsior. Yeah, I will put it above... I'll put it under Tony Stank, that's for sure. Doctor Strange and his friend Mordo are trying to fight the bad guy. They're chasing Mads Mikkelsen, and they enter the supernatural world where Doctor Strange and Mordo bump into a bus, and we see it's being written by Stan Lee. Stan Lee's like reading a book on drugs and making fun of it, and the joke is he completely misses the action happening outside his window. Honestly, it's a pretty funny one. It's not as funny as Tony Stank, but it's definitely interesting seeing Stan Lee not react to something happening in Marvel for once. They also changed Kamala's powers to just be mystical artifacts. Yeah, that was dumb and honestly kind of offensive because they wanted to tie it in with her Muslim culture, which honestly seems more racist than it is representation. Shadow Ravencroft, well, in the comics she did, and she got her powers via gas like static shock. Like psychedelic. Yeah, because Stan Lee was criticized for Marvel. People claimed that he was on drugs when he cooked up his superhero ideas, and Stan Lee kind of pokes fun of that, and rightfully so, because now he's a big success, and people don't think superheroes are stupid anymore. Yeah, this one, definitely a funny one. I'll put it on to low S tier. It's going on Excelsior, because it's psychedelic. Alright, next I think we're at one of the big ones. Let's do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And this one's going high S tier Excelsior because Stan Lee is the Watcher. Yes, James Gunn finally got the memo and realized how popular Stan Lee's cameos are, leading to one of his best cameos in the MCU. Stan Lee is one of the Watchers. We see Stan Lee is talking with Uvatsu and all the Watchers, like their alien race, are speaking to him because Stan Lee is actually the same guy in all these MCU cameos. Yes, they confirm that Stan Lee is the same one guy in every MCU film, and he's been on Earth posing as an agent to give stories to the Watchers. For those of you who don't know, the Watchers are cosmic beings who watch and study the universe, trying to set right and capture history happening throughout Marvel. And Stan Lee is a part of them. Stan Lee is telling them stories and brings up, well, once I was a delivery man, referencing his appearance in Civil War. Fitting to have him be the Watcher? Yes, it is. It is so funny because, yeah, basically James Gunn confirms all the fan theories here. Stan Lee is the Watcher, and he's been appearing in Marvel and across the multiverse, and it's all the same guy. Stan Lee is talking with the Watchers, giving them details on the stories, and he does show up for another scene in the movie. He appears once where Rocket and Yondu are flying past through the portals and says, whoa, that was weird. So anyway, here's my story. And then he shows up again in the post-credit scene where we get pretty much a funny scene where the Watchers heard enough stories and decide to go back to their spaceship and they leave Stan Lee. Like, wait, guys, where you going? You're my ride home. I got so many stories. And kind of dump Stan Lee in the void of space. It's kind of mean, but really funny. The Watchers scene that was used in Tales of the Watchers Woods and Are You Afraid of the Dark's rapid fire review. Yeah, you saw that, Akira. That was definitely funny. Like, the Watchers is an interesting idea. Like, could they defeat the OA Green Lantern Guardians Council? Not sure I would go that far. The Watchers are powerful divine beings, but they're also not allowed to be super involved in the happenings of Marvel. This would kind of lead to a backdoor spin-off where the Watchers are the narrators of the What If cartoon. I've not watched all the seasons of this. I watched up to the Doctor Strange Evil episode because he was a part of Multiverse of Madness, but I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with the Watchers. Like, are they only going to be in the What If stuff, or are they going to be an official part of the MCU? It's just kind of a fun cameo in this movie. I remember the Key and Peele sketch where Peele played Stan Lee and pitched the dumbest superhero ideas to a bunch of writers. Pretty funny, Shadow, pretty funny. Yeah, they are in the What If. If you don't know, that's a streaming show, Disney's What If. It's animated shows to see what if this happened in the Marvel Universe, and it's actually a pretty great idea, but the show has gotten so much worse. They just do a bunch of mediocre crap and stuff people don't care about. Like, did any of you guys want to see what if Peggy Carter became Captain Britain? I'd rather we get Betsy Braddock right about now, but no, they have her, and for some reason they keep trying to make her the main hero. Anyways, the Watchers cameo, yeah, you know it's great. It is S tier. It is easily his best cameo in the MCU, and seeing Stan Lee confirmed to be a Watcher or an agent of the Watchers is just so insanely marvelous. It is going on to high S tier. Like, Marvel Zombies show up as a full series. Yeah, that kind of disappointed me too, because Marvel Zombies is supposed to be serious, and we have so many goofy jokes and cringe humor. What if season 1 was good, season 2 was decent, and season 3 was disappointing, especially the final episode? Yeah, I did hear that. I heard it got worse. I did not check out season 2 onward. I'm sorry, but it just did not interest me, and the episode that was dedicated to Chadwick Boseman was so preachy. Yeah, I get it, he died and we all love him, but seeing all the characters, even Thanos praising Chadwick Boseman Star-Lord, it was just so, so cringe, I'm sorry. Like, I should have known better. Thank you for showing me the way, T'Challa Star-Lord. And everybody's just sucking off Chadwick Boseman's ego. I know he died. I like the guy, but come on, guys. There has to be a limit to how much you could handle. What if has some stupid ideas? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Black Panther became Star-Lord. Like, it's just Black Panther in outer space. Yeah, that episode did not win me over. I think fans only like it because Chadwick Boseman tragically passed away. Yeah, I know, the guy did deserve a decent send-off, but that was a bit too much. Just be glad that She-Hulk wasn't in What If. Not yet. Oh, they also brought back Kat Dennings as Darcy. What if Darcy and Howard the Duck dated? Did anybody even want to see that? And it's a shame that I never got to see Susan Storm with Mr. Fantastic powers like in the comics. Tragically, no. And Strange Supreme is interesting. Like, this was so dark. Like, why can't Cat Blank or Heart Fixer be like this? Because they actually cared. And it was supposed to tie into Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange 2 sequel. So now that Toby has been added to the main MCU, does that make Bruce Campbell a Watcher too? Lol. Or Bruce Campbell could finally play Mysterio. Everybody's been dying to see that. What If should not have limited itself to just the MCU events. It should not. They did try Marvel Zombies, and it's not as good as the comic. Why not have Miss Marvel be a comic character in the movies that inspired Miss Marvel to be a hero without being connected to Carol Danvers? Because Disney's writers are terrible. I actually like Darcy and Howard being together. Well, I don't, because it's a reference to that terrible movie where Howard the Duck ends up dating Marty McFly's mom. That was just weird. Alright, anyways, Watcher Stan Lee, definitely number 1 on this list. Will it remain that way? We shall see, but it's going on to Excelsior. Alright, so we do have some after Stan Lee's death. We do have his final appearance in the MCU. Oh wait, we also have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, Sorry, this one kind of cut off Stan Lee in this photo, but Stan Lee's going to his car while Ant-Man and the Wasp are fighting villains who have the shrink ray, and Stan Lee ends up losing his car. His car gets hit by the shrink ray, and Stan Lee gets a funny reaction. Whoa, the 60s was a lot of fun, but now I'm paying for it. It's kind of funny. I'm gonna put it onto Nuff Said. Yeah, we'll put it under his drinking contest. This one's another quick one, but honestly a really funny one. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Stan Lee doesn't meet Ant-Man or the Wasp, but he's like caught in the crossfire of their fight. The thugs are like shooting the shrink ray at Ant-Man and Wasp and accidentally hit Stan Lee's car, and Stan Lee thinks he's tripping out. Honestly, not that bad a cameo. I'll put it on to A tier. Not every Marvel project has to be a part of the MCU. I agree, Shadow, but Disney is dumb, okay? Disney is just dumb. And yes, Heart Fixer is the worst Marinette akumatized form in 2 minutes, like for the Chop Trio's Miraculous's new idiot bullies. Oh, great. Howard the Duck feels like Donald Duck's cousin once removed. Hey, he knows Quack Fu. Alright, so if you guys don't know, Howard the Duck is a funny comedy villain, or not villain, comedy anti-hero in the comics, and to be fair, Howard the Duck is much better in the comics. He has never been portrayed very well in media outside of the comics. Yeah, he had his own movie made by George Lucas. It did not do well and made people hate Howard the Duck. He appeared voiced by Seth Green in the background of Guardians and later Endgame. Howard the Duck is usually a funny character. He's supposed to be kind of like Batmite-ish, but Marvel has had a difficult time adapting him because he's a cartoony character in a very serious universe, and that's kind of the reason why some writers struggle with him. Could we have the car shrink scene for a future review? Gotta find the right moment, Akira. We gotta find a shrinking episode. I live in Ant-Man 2 where Stan Lee recorded like 24 different lines because he couldn't figure out which line he liked best. Oh, really, Shadow? Okay, lucky you. Like people say Howard the Duck versus Detective Chimp for a death battle. That would be pretty insane seeing that. I would definitely be on board for it. Okay, so Ant-Man and Wasp cameo, honestly it's a pretty funny one. Really quick, and Stan Lee gets like only one funny line, but I found it interesting. We'll put it on to Nuff Said. Okay, not out of the woods yet. We got our last MCU film. Yes, it is our last MCU film. Avengers Endgame. This is Stan Lee's last cameo in the MCU ever. Technically, his final recorded one was Into the Spider-Verse, but let's end the MCU cameos with this one. And this one, we will be putting on to S tier because we love Stan the Man. I'll put it under his Doctor Strange one because the joke in this one is alright, but not super funny. Stan Lee shows up in one of the time travel antics. Iron Man goes back in time to the military base, and Stan Lee and a lookalike of his wife back then, show up driving past the military base in their young forms, and we see what Stan Lee and his wife looked like back in the day, and Stan gets one line, "Hey man, make love, not war," and he drives by speeding in his kick-ass ride. This one is really nice seeing Stan Lee was here in the Endgame, so that's why I give it some leeway. This cameo is also pretty decent. Like, basically, this is what Stan Lee and his wife looked like back in the day, where they were on top of the world with Marvel Comics, and it was pretty interesting seeing deep fakes of what they used to look like. But Stan Lee's cameo, it is a nice final farewell appearance in the MCU, so I will give it that for its emotional moments. Seeing Stan Lee driving by the military, having a snappy one-liner, and going off in his kick-ass ride with some of his catchphrases written on the back, definitely an interesting appearance. I will give it an S tier just for that. You meant I like Ant-Man too. Okay, Shadow. Oh, you like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay. Okay, Wasp is one of my favorite characters if you see my EMH tier list. I wanted to like it. Evangelion Lily is a pretty woman, but I did not like the writing for her character. Like, first she hates Scott Lang, then she's suddenly all over him. They kind of poke fun at that, how they randomly hooked up. They kind of turned Wasp into a really nothing character in the MCU. Which is a shame because she was like one of the best in the cartoons. best one. Like, could we use the line, "Make love, not war," for a Valentine's Day review? We might, or for any romance. Phineas and Ferb time. Sorry, we don't have that one on here, Akira. I like Stan Lee's cameo in Ant-Man 2. I don't care for the movie. Okay, understandable, Shadow, understandable. Ant-Man the Wasp is not one of my favorite MCU movies. It's an okay filler movie in the middle of the grand stakes story. Alright, anyways, the Endgame cameo, yeah, it's pretty nice. Got to see Stan one last time, and we see how he used to look like back in the day with his then wife having fun. Definitely a nice wave goodbye for Stan Lee. I'll put it onto Excelsior. Okay, not out of the woods yet. Got our final line of cameos. Okay, Akira wants the animated Stan Lee. This is not Phineas and Ferb Stan Lee. This is Spectacular Spider-Man Stan Lee. And this cameo is going on high A tier. Yeah, this one going on. Nuff said. Stan Lee appears as a dock worker, also named Stan, and basically he has a funny reaction when a supervillain shows up. Stan Lee and the guys are just moving crates, and then Mysterio shows up, claiming to be an all-powerful sorcerer, and Stan Lee's line always makes me laugh. He, looks at him in complete confusion and says, "Are we being punked? I hate that show." Yeah, apparently punked is canon in Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, this one, really hilarious cameo. I was honestly kind of amazed Stan Lee did appear in this cartoon. I know he shows up in a lot of stuff, but seeing him in Spectacular's animation style and a reoccurring background extra was definitely intriguing. Going on to A tier. Also, he disrespected Mysterio, so that wins him some points. Scott's friends are the best part of Ant-Man 2. See, Shadow, that's where I kind of disagree. I hate Michael Pena. I found him so annoying in the Ant-Man movies. I was not sad to see him go in Quantumania, but as we all know, Quantumania is the worst MCU by far, even without him. So cool, Spectacular Spider-Man. You want the Incredible Homer next? Alright. What is Punked? Okay, Akira, if you don't know, the show might be before your time. Punked is basically a prank show. Ashton Kutcher from that 70s show was on it, and basically he pulls these elaborate YouTube pranks on people. Then when they get scared or get angry, he shows up and says, "Haha, we got you. You just been punked." Yeah, you're on Punked. Basically, they pranked you. They trolled you. Nothing really bad happened. It was all just a prank. They filmed it for TV to get a hilarious over-the-top reaction from random people. That's what Punked is. It was on at the same time Spectacular Spider-Man was on. Kang the Conqueror should not have been the villain of Quantumania. No, he should not, but neither should MODOK. I cannot take Kang seriously as a big bad. Yeah, so Kang has now been defeated by a timeline alternate Loki and ants. This guy was supposed to be the lead villain of a new Avengers movie. God, I hate prank shows. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, sorry, Akira, that's what it was. I am Gen Z with my sister for the slang is confusing. Yeah, I don't care about that. What gen were you a part of? I treat people as people. Yeah, Punked is basically a prank show. It was on during the 2000s. It might be before some people's time, but Ashton Kutcher basically trolled people and filmed it for hilarious reactions. That's kind of the joke. Stan Lee thinks, are we on Punked? Is this like a troll? Stan Lee thinks Mysterio is a part of some reality TV prank show. That's kind of the joke. Then he shows off his illusion magic to scare Stan Lee away. Yeah, it was so cool seeing him on Spectacular Spider-Man. God, I hate prank shows. So it's Beta replunked from Gravity Falls. Yeah, kind of like that. Sorry, getting rehydrated. Yeah, Stan Lee appearing on Spectacular Spider-Man. It is awesome. I'll put him onto high A tier. Nuff said. Okay, people want his Simpsons cameo, and you're in luck because I really, really enjoy this cameo. Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics? That's right, my spidey sense was tingling. Stan Lee shows up in the Angry Dad episode. This is one of my all-time favorite Simpsons episodes, and Stan Lee appearing in it made it even better. This one, you bet, is going on to S tier. Yeah, don't worry, I'll put it under the Watcher, the Watcher confirmation. This one's really funny. Bart wants to become a comic book creator. He tries to create comics, but his work isn't doing so well. Stan Lee, I kid you not, shows up to Comic Book Guy's store and gives Bart some inspiration. Did I say Spidey sense? I meant stinky sense. This comic is not good. Bart is a bit disappointed, but Stan Lee actually encourages him to keep trying. You have to create your own unique character, your own original OC. You can take inspiration from others, but you have to make this character your own. And Bart gets a heroic second win, decides that he's going to keep trying to create his own comic book, and Stan Lee gets some funny lines and kind of hangs around the comic book shop for the entire episode. But if it doesn't work out, you could also open up a comic book store. Stan Lee just insulted me, but in Bizarro World, that means he likes me. Yeah, and Comic Book Guy and Stan Lee hang out throughout the rest of the episode, and Stan Lee never left the comic book store. He's just hanging around, annoying shoppers, trying to sell his Marvel products, and it's just so funny. It's just so funny, like, this kid is trying to buy DC stuff, and Stan Lee says, well, wouldn't you want a Marvel figure? But Batman's the only one who fits in my Batmobile. Nonsense, the Thing can fit perfectly, and he's like shoving a giant Hulk Thing action figure and breaks the kid's toy. You broke my Batmobile. Broke or made better. It's like trying to push all the Marvel stuff in front of the DC stuff. It's so funny. But Stan Lee does get a funny moment also in the climax. If you don't know, this is the episode where Bart makes a comic book based on his dad, Homer. He makes Homer into Angry Dad. It's a wacky comedy comic where Homer gets angry and pissed off at everything and has meltdowns, and this humiliates Homer. Homer realizes he has to control his anger. Then he becomes the Incredible Hulk when Bart's prank goes too far. Yeah, we get Green Homer. Homer basically falls into a trap Bart left. He ends up pissed off, ends up in pain, and he falls into a bunch of green paint. Bart left a little kiddie pool under a trap door. He falls and he becomes the Incredible Hulk. Homer mad! Homer smash! And Homer's tearing up the neighborhood. Like the police come in. Look, it's the Incredible Hulk! Gah! And Stan Lee is witnessing all this and actually wants to chime in. He can't be the Hulk. I'm the Hulk. Rah! Oh, please. You can't even change into Bill Bixby. Oh, come on. I can change. I did it before. Stan Lee's trying to Hulk out, but nothing's happening. Yes, if only you had the power to leave my store. And Stan Lee apparently almost had it off screen, which I find funny. Yes, they do confirm Stan Lee can Hulk out in the Simpsons universe. The Incredible Homer. What are you doing in my swamp? Insert Limp Bizkit rolling Homer mad. Quantumania didn't do MODOK correctly. Quantumania didn't do anything correctly. They completely crapped all over Ant-Man. All his character development is gone. They turned Wasp into a big fat nothing burger. They ruined Kang the Conqueror as the epic arc villain of this phase. Or I should say 3 phases, now we're on phase 6. Yeah, they kind of ruined Kang the Conqueror, and MODOK was god-awful. He was a terrible effect, looked so doofy and hideous, and there's no reason for Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne to even be in Quantumania. They do nothing, and basically Hank got cucked by his own wife. Really terrible. For some reason, Wasp doesn't tell anyone that Kang exists, creating a big plot hole. And yeah, the movie was just plain not good. Oh, and Cassie Lang becomes Stinger. I did not like Cassie either. I forgot. Cassie is the worst part of it. They ruined Ant-Man's daughter. Ant-Man's daughter is going to become a young Avenger, and they made her this entitled brat, always complaining and angsting about stuff. Did not like her. I just saw a video about an incident on the show where a 12-year-old actor gets attacked by the prank victim before the camera crew could stop him. Yeah, that probably explains why it was canceled. Like, it's funny. Same about my Yokai University manga is in development. Hope it works out, Akira. Yeah, Green Homer. Comic book guy is funny with, "Oh, please, I'm not insane. I simply wish to take you back to my lair and make you my bride." Yeah, comic book guy's definitely a card. Quantumania didn't do anything correctly back, kid. It is a terrible movie. Hashtag Emperor Lemon reference. God, I love Emperor Lemon's YouTube poops. I gotta see it again. Yeah, Quantumania did not make me like Cassie Lang. Anyways, the Simpsons Stan Lee cameo, it is funny. It is like one of their best celebrity appearances, and Stan Lee had a hell of a time making fun of himself, promoting Marvel, and the climax where Homer becomes the Hulk is iconic. Yeah, this appearance definitely high S tier. I love The Simpsons, and of course I love Stan Lee in The Simpsons. The MCU has just basically become a bad soap opera. Yes, it has, Shadow, and worse than the CW verse. Love Emperor Lemon's YouTube poops. Cassie became Stature. Like, how did she become a superhero in minutes over Kate Bishop? Yeah, because they're trying to push the Young Avengers and giving all these little kids, mostly a bunch of teen girl spin-offs, and I think this is a huge mistake because, one, the Marvel saga has always appealed to a male demographic, and trying to promote all these teen girls having girl talks and soap opera drama is not what your male fan base is looking for. Yeah, I think the only guy is Wanda's kid, Wiccan, and he's a gay kid, so yeah, men are not going to relate with him. But her actress needs to be Velma soon. Yeah, she could definitely be a good Velma. Nothing against Cassie's actress, but her writing and character are god-awful. Are we ever going to get the Young Avengers, or are they just going to keep teasing the team? They keep teasing the team, Shadow. I really hope we do not get the Young Avengers. Well, one, most of them are not young anymore. I mean, Haley Steinfeld's now 30. Not exactly a young Avenger. But I heard they're gonna give them, like, their own spin-off Disney Plus streaming series, because Lord knows we don't have enough of those. But yeah, I think the Young Avengers might as well be canceled at this point. They can't even succeed with the Prime Avengers. Also, Jason's in Dead by Daylight. I know that. Emily showed me that in one of her gameplay videos. Like, finally, YouTube poops, Simpsons, Green Homer by Emperor Lemon. I gotta see it again. I mean, we have the Avengers series from 1999. Those aren't the superhero Avengers, those are the spy Avengers. Wanda's children don't exist, though. Are they going to do some multiverse crap? Most likely, Shadow, most likely. Okay, yeah. Simpson Stan Lee, kick-ass, going on S tier, Excelsior. Alright, we got some more cameos, a lot of animated and a lot of Sonyverse. Let's bump off one of the weaker ones, Venom. Yes, Stan Lee was in Venom, and this one, honestly not too shabby. I will put it onto Did It Work? I'll put it under Captain Marvel's cameo. This one, Stan Lee appears at the end of the movie where Venom and his girlfriend have broken up and he's walking away out of her life for good, only for Stan Lee to show up and say, "Hey man, don't let her get away. Your relationship is worth fighting for. I believe in you, both of you," hinting that Stan Lee knows Venom and the symbiote are the same person. This one, honestly not too shabby. I'm not a huge fan of the Venom movies. Well, outside of the Carnage one, that one was absolutely hilarious. But Stan Lee's cameo, it's nice, it's okay, it's kind of funny. I do love seeing Stan Lee appear in this stuff, but this one didn't do too much for me. I kind of forget Stan Lee even has an appearance in this movie. Spy Avengers? Yeah, that's the Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman movie that failed, based off of a 60s show also called The Avengers. Yeah, if you guys don't know, there was an old 60s show about British super spies. They were called The Avengers. This was before Marvel bought the rights to the title. Marvel should just stick with films. I agree. Well, I guess Miles Morales isn't there for Young Avengers. Remember Dino Thunder Blue Ranger could have been Miles Morales in live action? Yeah, you're talking about Blue Dino Thunder Ranger. I'm trying to remember his name. Ethan. Yeah, Ethan. Ethan could have been a great Miles Morales, but I don't think the character was mainstream yet. I remember that Stan Lee and how Comic Book Guy wanted him out, and when he was out, he brought him back in. Yeah, basically, he kind of kept Stan Lee because he felt sorry for him. Like, he showed up as Venom to talk about a dog. Yeah, the Venom is like, wants to eat Stan Lee's dog. It's kind of funny, but also didn't do too much for me. This one going on to mid-tier. Speaking of which, we also have Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and this one also going on F tier because Stan Lee doesn't even appear. Stan Lee is on a magazine cover that Eddie like straightens out. He's like going to the newsstand. It's Eddie or Cletus Cassidy, but we see Stan Lee is like on a magazine cover, and basically we see Venom putting it back on the shelf. Yeah, that's it. Stan Lee doesn't even physically appear in this movie. It is a loving tribute to him after his death, and basically it's just a picture of him. F tier. They couldn't even get Stan the Man to show up. Alright, speaking of F tier, we'll also get another terrible one out of the way. The Princess Diaries 2, Stan Lee! Yes, this was real. Did you see the Nostalgia Critics review of this? That's how I discovered it. Stan Lee was on The Princess Diaries 2, showing up at basically one of the Queen's parties, and it is so random. I'm gonna put this on to low Tony Stank. Yeah, it's so bizarre. Stan Lee was in The Princess Diaries 2. That's a sentence I never thought I would ever say in my 9 lives. It's a very quick scene, but we see the Queen greeting a bunch of guests, and Stan Lee and his wife show up, invited to a royal party. And it's so hilariously out there. The what? Oh, you don't know, Akira? If you're talking about the Avengers, talking about the British spy show. If we were talking about Princess Diaries 2, this is a teen girl rom-com movie, and Stan Lee apparently makes an appearance in it. I hope they don't use AI to have Stan Lee cameos. It's just not the same. They shouldn't. If they have any respect for Stan Lee, they're not going to AI his face into anything. I suspect we're going to get more photo cameos now that he's passed away, but yeah. I heard about the British Avengers show. There's a famous scene in the show where the main female character's had her foot being examined and the shoe owner said her foot was perfect. You would remember that, anime night? Like that, is it? Did you hear about Val Kilmer's new movie? He was working on it before his death, so they are using AI to finish it. His family gave it their blessing. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good. If they're using AI especially, I think it's going to look terrible. It is safe then having Stan Lee and Jigoku Sensei Newbie, like imagine them ruining him. Yeah, they probably would. Okay. Seeing Stan Lee in this movie is really weird, but I'll give it Tony Stank because it definitely wins points for randomness, but it's not a good appearance because most people who watch The Princess Diaries might not know who Stan Lee is. Alright, I saved a pretty good cameo too on here. Spider-Man 3 Stan Lee. Yep. Peter Parker is finally on top of the world. I mentioned this on our last tier list of Spider-Man movies. Peter Parker is like looking around. All of New York is celebrating Spider-Man. Spider-Man is now a hero. He's welcomed with open arms. People idolize him. And Peter finally wins respect. And while he's looking at like a news bulletin, Stan Lee shows up and basically gives him inspirational talk. Like, Stan Lee and Tobey Maguire are both admiring all the Spider-Man worship and celebrations, and Stan Lee comes along and says, I guess one person can make a difference. Nuff said. Yeah, this one, honestly the most heartwarming cameo from him I've ever seen. This one's going on to S tier also. This is... For the longest time, this was my #1 favorite Stan Lee cameo, seeing Spider-Man and Stan Lee on the big screen, and Stan Lee basically praising his character. It is so heartwarming, nice, and really hilarious to see. Yeah, we got to see pretty much the only Spider-Man actor being in the same room with Stan Lee. It's a great cameo, going on to S tier for sure. You want Lego Stan Lee, huh, Kira? I don't have a foot fetish, I just noticed that in most shows from the 50s to today, always shows off female characters' foot. Yeah, they did that before nudity became more mainstream. Like how Marvel and DC fans look closely at their favorite characters. Nothing wrong with admiring sexy characters. My favorite Stan Lee cameo is Spider-Man 3 and Big Hero 6. Sorry for being late, playing some Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, Episode 2. Ah, good game, Snowstorm. Glad you're still in the chat, though. It's so cool. Yeah, for the longest time, Spider-Man 3 used to be my favorite Stan Lee cameo. It is so touching, really heartwarming, and really nice seeing him here, and honestly kind of sad now in hindsight, now that he's passed away, but Stan Lee finally appears standing next to Spider-Man on the big screen, and it is iconic. It's seeing Stan Lee basically saying that, yeah, you matter. Anyone can make a difference. One person does have impact upon the world, just like he did when he created Marvel. This one, easy S tier, really like it. Only losing out to the funny Watchers twist. Maybe the Stan Lee cameo in Princess Diaries 2 was for the dads and brothers that had to watch the movie with wife or sisters. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. But okay, Stan Lee Spider-Man 3 cameo, easily in my top 5, going on Excelsior. Alright, final 6, making pretty good progress here. Next, we'll bump off his cameo in She-Hulk. Yes, Stan Lee was in the good She-Hulk show, The Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk animated series, where Stan Lee plays Jennifer Walters' dad. Yes, this is actually a pretty funny one. I'm gonna put it onto low S tier because I really like this appearance. Love the Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk show. Yes, I am a total She-Hulk simp. She-Hulk returns to her hometown and is staying with her parents, where her parents are played by Stan Lee. He does not voice the mom, I believe that was someone else, but Stan Lee plays Mr. Walters, Jennifer's dad. Jennifer's dad is actually a beat cop, and he sees his daughter, now a sexy gamma mutant, and has a fun talk with her about it. Basically, Stan Lee actually does have a character arc in this one. He believes the Incredible Hulk is a menace, believes that Bruce Banner's long gone. She-Hulk actually defends her cousin, says that she's looking out for Bruce, and he actually helped her become better as a person, becoming the sensational, sexy She-Hulk. And it's kind of funny because the parents are trying to treat Jennifer like how she normally is, even though she's a hulking mutant. Eventually, they decide to accept Jennifer Walters, and they soon eventually accept the Hulk. Stan Lee is against the Hulk until Hulk comes through and saves the town when it's attacked. Gargoyle once again tries to get in She-Hulk's pants, wants She-Hulk to be his trophy wife because she's a lovely specimen. Gargoyle launches an assault on the town when he's rejected, totally going nuts because She-Hulk doesn't love him. But we see Mr. Walters tries to help save the day. He fights some battle androids, almost gets killed until he's saved by the Hulk. And this completes his mini character arc. He was against the Hulk, but now likes him. Hulk saves Jennifer when she's depowered and defeats Gargoyle's forces. And we get basically Mr. Walters giving his approval to the Incredible Hulk and encouraging Hulk and his daughter to go on adventures together, because it's funny because these are Stan Lee's characters. Stan Lee actually did create She-Hulk, one of the sexiest Supergirls ever, and it's so funny seeing him literally play her dad. You don't see it often, but Stan Lee playing a parent to one of his creations is definitely a fun idea. Oh great, it's Cool World again. Hey Kat, I made it. Sorry for being late to this tier list. I see we're talking about the GOAT, legend of cameos himself, Stan Lee. Rest in peace. Hey 19 Chris, you made it. We're on the final 5, but we do have some stuff to talk about. Talking about how Stan Lee was on The Incredible Hulk, the animated series, where he's literally She-Hulk's father, and this one is so funny. I like that Stan Lee playing the parent of one of the characters he created. It's definitely a cute cameo. Not one of his top tier appearances, but I love it. I'm gonna put it onto S tier. S for sensational. He is an Excelsior dad. Yeah, he's Jennifer Walters' dad. We need a She-Hulk tier list. We do. And I bet you guys can never guess where MCU She-Hulk would end up on that tier list. I remember seeing Princess Diaries 2 before knowing there was a first one that came out before. Oh, hey James, you made it. What I miss? You missed a lot. Talked about most of the MCU movies and the early 2000s movies. Don't worry, we're on the final five. There's still a few Stan Lee cameos left. We're wrapping up his appearance on the Incredible Hulk cartoon. Spider-Man 3 is so cool. We could see that clip in a future review, Kira. We might. Sorry, reading comments right now. Glad you can make it, James. Talked about a lot of good ones. Teen Titans Go's cameo actually made it onto A tier. It was pretty funny. I know, who did Stan Lee kill to get blackmailed to be on Teen Titans Go to the movies? But it was funny seeing him. He was the only highlight in a really garbage cartoon comedy. Yeah, Kira wants a tier list on She-Hulk. Need one on She-Hulk, need one on Wasp, need one on Black Cat, need one on all the sexy girls of Marvel. My other favorite cameo from his was his cameo on The Simpsons, where he helped Bart make a comic based on Homer. Yeah, Angry Dad. I don't know if you played BioShock. If so, who's your favorite villains? I haven't played it. I've seen people do Let's Plays of it, but I never, played it all the way through. If you guys missed it, The Simpsons Stan Lee made it onto S tier. He's third place right now. Yeah, I really like him. He's the Hulk. And I'm still waiting for Rose's parents to show up in Miraculous. Oh, she still hasn't yet shown her parents? I hope Jennifer Hale or Grey DeLeo play Rose's mom and Jared Padalecki as Rose's dad. Probably not gonna happen, Akira. Those actors are too big for a show like Miraculous. And yes, I agree, I too am a She-Hulk simp as well. And no, not the one on the MCU. Yeah, nobody is, 19 Chris, nobody is, don't worry. Nobody likes MCU She-Hulk, she's F tier on the waifus. Cree Summers She-Hulk though, she is a goddess. Could we get a video game, Stan Lee? Oh, we do have him on here, we'll get to him then. Did you forget that he also made a cameo in Mallrats? That one's not on here, sorry I didn't count it, mostly his Marvel stuff. And he was on a YouTube web show called Video Game High School. Yeah, that one's definitely not on here. Mostly his movies and TV appearances. But yeah, Stan Lee as She-Hulk's dad, definitely funny. I'm putting it onto Excelsior. Alright, final five. Let's do Insomniac's Spider-Man appearance. Yes, Stan Lee made a video game cameo, and this one definitely going on to S tier because this was a cameo after he passed away. I do like it a bit more than Tony Stank. Yeah, okay, I'll put it above The Mailman, but under Deadpool's short film. Yes, here he is, folks. Insomniac Spider-Man Stan Lee. This is another quick cameo, but a really nice and heartwarming one. Peter Parker and Mary Jane are having relationship drama and have a small falling out. They're at a pizza parlor having a small date. Peter Parker and MJ end on kind of bad terms, going their separate ways, and Stan Lee shows up as the owner of the pizza parlor and basically says what a lot of fans' beliefs about Spider-Man are. As a kid, friendly version of smoking. Yeah, he's been doing that. Okay, so yeah, Stan Lee's appearance honestly is really nice and really tragic in hindsight because this was one of the last few cameos he recorded. It was so nice seeing Stan Lee basically saying, yeah, he ships Mary Jane and Peter Parker together. He considers them the best couple, and he's basically giving his love for his favorite characters. Really touching scene. Really nice seeing Stan Lee appear in a video game version. Yeah, I know we see Stan Lee in a lot of video games, but this one felt very heartwarming because it's one of the last few before he passed away, and man, did he end on a high note because this game was awesome, and so is he in it. Going on Excelsior. Miraculous feels like it's losing the kid-friendly or dark moments. Yeah, I understand that, Akira. Okay, guys, gotta get more water, but we're on the final four. Tell me which one you want to see next. I think we should end on Spider-Man the Animated Series or Lego Stan Lee for last, but cast your vote below. Which of the final four Stan Lee cameos do you want to do next? I'll be right back. Alright, gang, I'm back. Let's finish this. 90s, save it for last, definitely. Okay, I don't think the Spider-Verse one doesn't fit. Really love Insomniac Spider-Man. It was great to see Stan Lee in it. Yeah, it was. So fun seeing Stan Lee come back. I do like that the Miles Morales game did give him a statue in his honor. Spoilers, it's not on here because technically that's not Stan Lee. It's just a tribute to him. But yeah, in the Miles Morales game, we see there's a statue built in Stan Lee's honor. The third picture, you want to do that one? Okay. Lego Stan Lee next, and the Spider-Man the Animated Series one last. Okay. Personal guilty pleasure, mine from the 2000s. Like, we need Spider-Man the Animated Series tier list. Yeah, but guys, there's like 300 episodes. It's gonna take me a while to watch that. Plus, I'm watching all the Power Ranger stuff on top of that. It's gonna be a slow wait, but yeah, I know you guys want to see Spider-Man the Animated Series because it is a kick-ass cartoon, but we'll save Stan Lee from that tune for last. Alright, Akira wants to do this one. You talking about this third one? Yes, this is Stan Lee on Stripperella, Stripperella. Yes, Stan Lee created Stripperella, an R-rated superhero comedy where Pamela Anderson plays a sexy femme fatale superheroine, Stripperella. She's a stripper superhero, and Stan Lee plays this reoccurring character, a scientist named Jerry, who creates Stripperella's technology and inventions. Technically, it's these two other guys, but Stan Lee is there, and he shows up from time to time saying, "Wait, Stripperella, I have a new invention. It can help you." And one of these inventions was something that already exists, but Stripperella really adores him because Jerry's a kind-hearted, sweet old man, just like Stan Lee, and Stan Lee gets the honor of being the only guy in this show who Stripperella actually kisses. Yeah, this one going on to S tier for sure. Stan Lee and Stripperella together, that is just a barrel of laughs. Like, we need Spider-Man the Animated Series tier list. I saw Akira. I saw. Yes. If you guys don't know, Stripperella is an underrated cartoon show. Saber Spark recently reviewed it. Pamela Anderson plays a sexy stripper superhero, and Stan Lee is one of her friends who works for her team. Stan Lee creates high tech that she uses, and Stan Lee voices this character himself. Basically, Jerry is kind of this goofy, scatterbrained Doc Brown scientist, and he gets the honor of being the only guy that Stripperella kisses. It's cool. I've been following the BioShock franchise since 2013, and I have not watched Stripperella, but I heard it's okay, but I haven't watched Spike TV's animation block. Really like this cartoon, huh, 19 Chris? Indeed, Akira, indeed. You're talking about barbed wire. Pamela Anderson is practically a super stripper hero in everything she's been in. Stan Lee even had that one TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel, Who Wants to Be a Superhero, and the winner made a cameo in the movie Mega Snake. Ah, lucky them. Okay, so this one, pretty funny, seeing Stan Lee shipping himself with Pamela Anderson. It is a barrel of laughs. Definitely a funnier dirty old man joke than his Guardians of the Galaxy cameo. Yeah, it's just funny seeing Stan Lee was in Stripperella and he's the only guy Pamela Anderson actually kisses on screen. Fun cameo, fun show, going on Excelsior. Alright, final three. Next, let's knock off Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Technically, Stan Lee's final cameo he recorded because the Spider-Verse movie wasn't finished before he passed away. Stan Lee shows up as a salesman selling Spider-Man suits for his memorial. Peter Parker dies in Miles Morales' universe, and he's basically going to a shop buying tribute costumes where Stan Lee is selling Spider-Man suits for kids, and Miles Morales talks to the salesman, revealing it's Stan Lee. He asks, "Hey, if the suit doesn't fit, can I return it?" And Stan Lee basically says, "Bro, the suit fits anyone." And he's like standing next to a no refund sign. Yeah, this one's definitely funny. I'm gonna put this one onto low Excelsior. Yeah, I'll put it above Iron Man, but below Endgame. Yeah, seeing Stan Lee in the Sonyverse and actually a much funnier cameo than his Venom appearance. This one's actually pretty nice, really heartwarming, and he does tell Miles that anyone can be a hero, but they subvert it with a goofy joke. At Wolf Entertainment, what if it doesn't fit? Buddy, the suit can fit anyone. That fits all, eventually. And yeah, basically it's foreshadowing that Miles is gonna become a hero, but also joke because he's covering like a no refund sign ever. Again, a great final cameo in Into the Spider-Verse and Insomniac Spider-Man. Yeah, this one has a lot more heartwarming value because it's his last cameo ever, and I can see why people like it. It's funny, it's nice, and has a brilliant subversion of expectations. Yeah, I'll put it on to S tier for sure. Like, so cool. It is cool, and I remember the line, going to miss him line. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I'm gonna miss him. Talking about Spider-Man. Yeah, okay, definitely a nice heartwarming cameo. Of course, I'll put it on to S tier. Alright, next cameo, we're on the final two. Next, we'll bump off Lego Stan Lee. Yes, here he is. Stan the Man in the Lego universe, and Stan Lee in Lego actually going on to high S tier. Yeah, really like him. There's actually a side mission where you have to save a Stan Lee in each level, and I love this video game. I actually grew to really attach to it. I thought this game was not going to be as good as DC's Lego games, but nope, it was spectacular. Stan Lee is basically a side mission throughout the games where you have to save Stan Lee in different scenarios and use certain Marvel characters' powers and abilities to rescue him, and if you rescue all Stan Lees, then you can unlock him as a character, where Stan Lee has every power from every Marvel hero. He's Excelsior Stan. Yeah, Stan Lee can fly, he can use Mjolnir, he can use electricity, he can turn into an Incredible Hulk, he can get around the city using Spider-Man's web slinging. Yeah, Stan Lee is basically an OP god in the Lego universe. Like, so cool like that. Again, a great final cameo in Into the Spider-Verse and Insomniac. Yep, it was. Before you end the video, should we give a moment of silence for Stan Lee himself? Yeah, we can. You could have done that while I was using the restroom. Transforming into Hulk Stan Lee, very funny. Yeah, Stan Lee basically hulks out. It's actually a pretty funny reference to how he said he could Hulk out in The Simpsons. Here he actually does. Yeah, you rescue Stan Lee, he makes cameos. Stan Lee did actually record lines, he shows up from time to time. I believe he interacts with Deadpool once, talking about making of Marvel. Love Deadpool, played by Nolan North. It was pretty nice seeing and hearing him come back as the Merc with a mouth. But yeah, Stan Lee's here, he breaks the fourth wall, he's released from the supervillain prison, and basically you encounter him all throughout the games. Yeah, transforming into Hulk Stan Lee, that is funny. So, as usual on these tier lists, I love Lego. Legos are awesome, and Stan Lee was definitely an S tier Lego character. He was cool, he was funny, they got Stan the Man to voice him, and Stan Lee has every power across the Marvel universe. They love Stan Lee, and that love is all over the game. He's going on to S tier for sure. Yeah, transforming into Hulk Stan Lee, that's pretty funny. Alright, but let's finally end this on a high note with our last Stan Lee cameo. We made it to Spider-Man the Animated Series. Yeah, he shows up in all three Lego Marvel games on on the PlayStation, the Xbox. I got him on Xbox One, that's how I found out he was in the game. Sucks like you die and start over again. DC does it where you come back, yeah. Alright, ending this on a high note with Stan Lee's appearance in the series finale of Spider-Man the Animated Series. So, after an insane adventure where Spider-Man loses Mary Jane, fights in the Secret Wars, and defeats Spider-Carnage, Madam Web has one last mission for Spidey to meet Stan Lee. And he meets Stan Lee in our real world. Spider-Man enters our real world and encounters Stan the Man. Stan Lee is in his office creating new Marvel comics, and he talks to his creation and gives Spider-Man a pep talk he so desperately needed. And you bet, yeah, this one's going up on high S tier. This is like one of the best cameo appearances Stan Lee has ever made, and I think like one of his few in the 90s Marvel animated universe, and it's actually his best. Okay, so Madam Web sends Peter to meet with Stan Lee, and Peter finally completes his character development, finally gets his groove back, realizes he likes being a superhero, he likes that he made a difference, and his life isn't so bad. Where he meets Stan Lee, and Stan Lee gives Peter a pep talk he needed, how he created Spider-Man because he's an inspiration. He's a hero people look up to, aspire to be like, how he wanted Peter to give people hope. And Peter realizes his life does matter. He's glad he became Spider-Man, and he thanks Stan Lee for creating him. And it is a very weird meta scene, but also very sweet and wholesome. Stan Lee talks about how Marvel superheroes can make a difference, and Peter overcomes all the drama he suffered throughout the entire animated series and has hope that Mary Jane is still out there after talking with Mr. Lee. And we done, and this is for you, Stan Lee. Yeah, sorry I didn't watch Ultimate Spider-Man. I know Stan Lee was in it as a janitor, but I never actually seen that show. Although it would have been more meta if he pulled a whole Who Framed Roger Rabbit going to the real world, but guess that would cost too much, so I think they were gonna have Stan Lee return in a future story arc, but Spider-Man talks with Stan Lee and gets his groove back, realizes that his life is good, Stan Lee did make him a good hero, and he thanks Stan Lee for bringing him into existence, and Stan Lee goes around web-slinging with Spider-Man, they have fun, hang out together, and Spider-Man, once he goes back through Madam Web's portal, kind of leaves Stan Lee hanging on a building. Like, Stan Lee's just chilling up on top and says, well, how am I supposed to get down from here? Guess I'll wait for the Fantastic Four. Something tells me they were gonna plan Stan Lee appearing on the Fantastic Four cartoon after hearing that line, but this one also nice. Like Spider-Man 3, we see Stan Lee and Spider-Man together on screen for the first time ever, and basically, Stan Lee brings out the best in Spidey, and Spidey shows his gratitude and love letters for Stan Lee. It is a nice, sweet, wholesome moment, and one of the most memorable series finales ever. It is that impactful, and I think it's one of Stan Lee's best appearances. Easily in his top 5 best cameos. It is on top at Excelsior. Would have been nice to see Stan Lee, though, help take down Spider Carnage, but I guess they knew he had kind of limits as a normal person. Yep, we did it. What's next for future review? There is a new Twilight Zone review out on my Patreon. Don't worry, guys, it's coming soon, but if you can't wait, go check it out. I talk about a fan favorite Twilight Zone tale, another one on James Rolfe's top 10, so go check it out. Can you believe Spider-Man almost did not exist because people were afraid of spiders and thought he wouldn't sell? That is crazy, Shadow. That is really crazy. Glad Stan Lee didn't listen to them. Yeah, sorry guys, I did not watch Ultimate Spider-Man, so that cameo's not on here. Apparently he used to be a janitor, but we did it. We talked about all of Stan Lee's major cameos and all the ones I and fans actually know. We'll go over it one last time for any of you late birds, or for those of you who skip-click to see the ranking in full at the end. Although it would have been more... read that one. Next tier list, any Marvel villainous is tier list like Black Cat. I know you want Black Cat, you want Wasp, you want, of course, She-Hulk. She's sensational. Honestly, I might do a tier list like that. We'll see. I might try to get one more Marvel tier list in this weekend, but time will tell. Gotta find a good one. Might not be doing a film ranking one, though. But yeah, there might be one more Marvel tier list at the end this weekend, but we did our Stan Lee tier list. Hope it was worth it. This was definitely a fun one, because I love Stan the Man. A lot of good cameos, as you can see, and only a handful of ones I just didn't care for. Only 2 god-awful ones, but only a handful of mediocre ones. A lot of S-tier and a lot of A-tier cameos, because Stan Lee is awesome. Yeah, he's marvelous. Alright, we'll go over the ranking one last time for any of you who showed up late. Well, this was fun, Cat. Great tribute tier list to a real legend, the man, the myth himself, Stan Lee. He will be missed, but never forgotten. Never. See you next time on the next one, Cat. Bye. Bye, 19 Chris. Save Captain America for 4th of July tier list. Yeah, that could work. Honestly, I might do that. Alright, let's go over it one last time for any of you late birds here. Only two god-awful Stan Lee cameos, and they were the cameos he didn't show up for. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and Man-Thing. Man-Thing easily the worst one because they just sent a photo of Stan Lee. Yeah, these two suck for the same reason. Stan Lee doesn't actually show up, he sent a picture that's in the background. That is it. That is why they are the worst Stan Lee cameos, easily F tier. In Tony Stank, we have the Princess Diaries one, which was just so random. Iron Man 3, easily missable Stan Lee cameo. I did not like it because I literally missed it the first time I saw it. And yeah, not really much to go off of. Stan Lee has a silent cameo. Ant-Man did not care about it because Michael Pena's monologue was just annoying. And Guardians of the Galaxy, this cameo was really nothing. Stan Lee shows up and it feels like the most forced out of all of them. Yet these four, easily Tony Stank, did not care for them. A moment of silence, everyone, for Stan Lee himself. Okay. Interesting. See you next time. Bye, Saga. Alright, hope that was quick enough for you, James. Alright. In Did It Work mid-tier, we have the Spider-Man Homecoming Super Bowl trailer, Black Panther, The Incredible Hulk, Thor The Dark World, lame movie, half-decent cameo, X-Men 1 and X-Men 3, Iron Man 2, Venom, Captain Marvel, and Big Hero 6. These ones are fine. They're serviceable, they're whatever. Not my favorite cameos, but I think they definitely had nice moments here and there. Seeing Stan Lee just show up in the background, definitely funny. I know people love the Big Hero 6 cameo. Me, I'm just not a fan of the movie. I thought it was alright. Really weird when they start talking about their underwear. But yeah, these cameos, they're fine. They're B tier. Definitely serviceable, Stan. But in A tier, Teen Titans Go. So hilariously random seeing him in the Teen Titans Go movie. Daredevil, like that Matt Murdock saves Stan Lee, that's kinda cute. Spider-Man 1 and 2, Stan Lee actually gets to be a hero here, saving innocent civilians. Definitely sweet, but really short. Spider-Man Homecoming, Stan Lee appears complaining about Spider-Man, that is just oodles of fun. X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah, seeing Stan and his wife actually cameo together, really sweet moment, and seeing them react in fear to the apocalypse, that is just a pretty great cameo. The Avengers cameo, yeah, it's fine. Really quick cameo, but it has some funny moments. I prefer the deleted scene cameo much more. Ang Lee's the Hulk. This one's a 2-for-1 cameo, Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno together on the big screen. That is definitely fun and a highlight in a terrible movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp Stan Lee. Yeah, it's a funny joke. That's really it. Age of Ultron Stan Lee. Love seeing Stan Lee challenge Thor to a drinking contest. Amazing Spider-Man 2 Stan Lee. Yeah, it's a cute one. Another short one, but seeing Stan Lee recognize Spider-Man is definitely funny. Spectacular Spider-Man. Awesome show and awesome cameo. Stan Lee mouthing off to Mysterio is absolutely badass. And Thor Stan Lee. I know some people are sad this won't make it to S tier, but it's on top of the A pack. It is definitely a funny cameo. Stan Lee failing to take Mjolnir out of the stone. It's just pretty funny. Just too quick for me. Up in S tier, what are our top Excelsior Stan Lee cameos? This was fun. Hopefully I can make it to the next one. Hopefully, Bat-Kid. Bye, Akira. Teen Titans Go lied to us as we were promised a 6th season of if the film did well, and it didn't. There's no season 6. Yeah, screw Teen Titans Go. Okay, Excelsior cameos. Stan Lee as She-Hulk's father. That is just so funny. I love it. Stan Lee as the security guard who fails to protect Captain America's uniform. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I like how random this one is, and seeing Stan Lee get a good line in it is definitely a highlight. Iron Man. Stan Lee gets mistaken for Hugh Hefner, which is funny because he is that badass. Into the Spider-Verse Stan Lee. This one's a nice one. It's his last cameo ever, and of course it ends on a wholesome note. Yeah, easy S tier. Endgame Stan Lee. Last time we see Stan in the MCU, and he went out on a high note, seeing him and his wife back when they were in their prime before driving off for their next adventure. Really sweet. Sad, but sweet. Doctor Strange Stan Lee. Yeah, this one just plain funny. Really like Doctor Strange ramming the bus and Stan Lee's reading a book about psychedelics. This one's definitely humorous. Civil War Stan Lee. Are you Tony Stank? Yep, just plain funny. Also high up on S tier. Captain America the First Avenger. I like this one because you don't see it coming. Stan Lee has a surprise cameo in this one. It's definitely another good joke one. Going on S tier. Fantastic Four. Stan Lee's a mailman, and he delivers mail to the Fantastic Four. It's actually pretty funny. I like his cameos in the Fantastic Four movies. Insomniac Spider-Man. Yep, another wholesome appearance by Stan Lee. Love seeing him and seeing him shipping Peter and MJ together. Really nice end note for him also. Deadpool No Good Deed Stan Lee. Yep, this one's absolutely hilarious. Deadpool telling Stan Lee to zip it. That is just comedy gold. Thor Ragnarok Stan Lee. Stan Lee showing up as a psychotic barber is something I never thought I'd see, but man is it so funny. Yeah, Stan Lee gives Thor a haircut and it's the most evil thing in the movie. Going on to S tier. Deadpool DJ Stan Lee. Yeah, this one absolutely hilarious. Seeing Stan Lee as a host at a strip club and introducing Deadpool to his girlfriend Vanessa, that is also comedy gold. Much funnier than his short film appearance. Going on S tier. Stan Lee is the mayor of Superhero City. Yeah, it's really nice seeing Stan Lee as the literal president of a town full of superheroes. That is just great. Really like him appearing even on the Kitty Marvel stuff. Stripperella Stan Lee. Yep, he's pretty funny. Just the fact that Stan Lee was even in Stripperella is just so hilarious to me. Yeah, definitely love you, Jerry. You're doing good work. Amazing Spider-Man Stan Lee. Yeah, was there really any doubt? The library scene is so funny, and for the longest time, this used to be a #1 Stan Lee cameo. It is insane, action-packed, random, and oh so hilarious. Silver Surfer Stan Lee. I know some people might fight me on this one, but I love this cameo. Stan Lee trying to show up to the superhero wedding only to get kicked out. That is just so funny to me, and it's good. Stan Lee's definitely acting his best here. This one easily in my top 10 favorite cameos. The Simpsons Stan Lee. Yep, Stan Lee is awesome. He's funny, gets a lot of great moments to shine. Simpsons took more advantage of Stan Lee than the Watchers did. Spider-Man 3 Stan Lee. It's heartwarming and so wholesome. I really like this cameo. It used to be my #1 favorite because seeing Stan Lee and Spider-Man on the big screen is so full of so much feel-good emotion. Definitely in my top 5. Lego Stan Lee. Yep, Stan Lee is awesome even in Lego form. He has every superpower, he's fun, and he's literally a side mission in all the Lego Marvel games. The fact that Lee even voiced himself is definitely a huge highlight. Going on to S tier for sure. The Spider-Man the Animated Series Stan Lee. Yeah, we went over this one, but man, is it a great finale, and seeing Stan Lee giving Spider-Man his approval is just so awesome. Spider-Man the Animated Series may have got canceled too short, but it ended on a high note, mostly thanks to Stan Lee. But #1 is going to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, The Watcher Stan Lee. Yeah, is there really any doubt? Stan Lee is confirmed to be a Watcher. That is insane and so fun. Yeah, this one is the #1 best Stan Lee cameo. Bye, Cat. Bye, Bat Kid. Was he even in those? Where's the Spider-Man games trilogy? Sorry, I didn't include them, James. Gotta do 90s animated series Spider-Man characters eventually. We will. Bye, Bat Kid. What about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? He was also in that. Yeah, sorry, I did not see it, James. I just didn't see it. Did not include many of his MCU Netflix shows on here, just mostly of the films. But yeah, #1, definitely The Watcher Stan Lee, and at rock bottom, Man-Thing Stan Lee, who showed up on a missing posters board. Yeah, Stan Lee couldn't even show up for a physical appearance. Easily the worst one. Top dog going to Watcher Stan Lee. Alright, so that completes this tier list. Thank you all for joining me. I'm glad you guys enjoyed these tier lists. I had fun doing this one, especially because Stan the Man making these wacky appearances is always a highlight. Might try to do one more Marvel tier list over the weekend, but we'll see if that happens. I just have, stuff going on in real life. But thank you for joining me. Glad we could do this tier list because Stan Lee is awesome and he deserves a lot more spotlight. It's a shame we lost him too soon. But yeah, might do a Marvel tier list, might do a Power Rangers tier list in the future. I'm still trying to work something out. Yeah, I got a lot of Power Rangers stuff to watch, guys. Definitely gonna do regular show season 6 with Wolf when we eventually get around to it. Wolf and I just need to schedule a date, but those are the tier lists we have planned so far. For videos, I do have a new Twilight Zone right now on Patreon. I do have a top 10 also on Patreon. Got a Tales from the Dark Side. We did No Strings. That's on Patreon. It's currently facing some copyright issues in the copyright gulag, but I do have stuff out on Patreon. Looking forward to talking about a certain Twilight Zone episode. We did return to the Rod Serling series, so get ready for that because we got something special planned. For what I'm working on now, I might do another top 10 list in the future, we'll see. Debating on doing a movie review, but so far I haven't cemented anything yet. Until next time, Excelsior! Copyright sucks. Fully agree, Shadow. Fully agree. Hate it. But yeah, sorry, some videos got stuck in the copyright gulag. I do have stuff out. Patreon doesn't have that issue, so go check it out now. Look forward to a Twilight Zone review in the future. But that's all the teases you're getting. Thank you for joining me on this tier list. Glad you guys had fun. We know we love Stan the Man, and may he rest in peace. But now I'll set you guys free. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I'll see you all next time. Same cat time, same cat channel. Excelsior!